Welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the true north. This is your friend Mr.BDA. I'm glad that everybody could be on board for this one. Listen, first of all, I'm having some issues here with the sound. For some reason, every time I try to load a track, things freeze a little bit. I think it's got something to do with the USB cable connected to the hard drive. But anyway, listen, this ain't the nerd debate arena. This is the boxing debate arena. And right now, Bucho is MIA for the moment. He did host a show last night and the night before that, so he's taking a little bit of a break. Today I will be hosting. That's the great thing about having two hosts. Oh yeah, we can just spread the responsibility around, if you will. Now before we get down to the fun, we got a lot to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, but let's talk a little bit about what you can do to help out the show. You can help out the show by continuing to listen, subscribing, hitting that like button. And if you got a couple of shekels lying around that you can contribute to the show so that we can buy ourselves some food and not be on that Cisraket Sorang Visai diet of rat and cardboard, you can certainly donate via the Super Chat feature. You can donate via the PayPal. We got a PayPal account, and you can also donate via the Patreon page. And don't forget to join the Discord, by the way, guys. The Discord group, if you like what goes on the YouTube chat, you can always join the Discord. It's always there 24/7 with or without a show. So go on and enjoy that. There's a lot of people there. We got a lot of fun. Speaking of fun, let's get down to the fun. I want to thank everybody that's listening right now. Pink Panther, Blues Boxing, Jason Bourne, shout out to Jason. Reality's Voice, David Seng, The Bronze Plumber, Azzy, Brandon White, Shepherd the Sons, shout out to Shepherd, keeping things real in the chat room. Saint Brit, Barska Ryder, Sina Messia, Official Scorecard Boxing, shout out to Official, Triple JJJ, shout out to Triple JJJ, Grievous, Box, Galileo de la Info, Unbiased Boxing Talk, aka Bay Area, Gonzalo's in there as well, Unrivaled Boxing Talk, who else? Duck, The Punisher, and Stephen Lawler, and many more to come, I am sure. Thank you guys for joining us. And speaking of joining us, I think I've got Revolucion and Gonzalo on the line already. Guys, are you there?
What up, BDA?
Oh, jeez, I can barely hear you. Are you in your car, man?
Yeah, man, you caught me. I'm driving home.
Okay, well, I'm gonna boost your volume up a little bit, so don't scream if you.
I could talk a little bit louder. Can you hear me good?
I think we can. I can hear you. Gonzalo, what about you?
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing, Mr. BDA? How's everybody doing?
Can you hear Revolucion when he says something?
I can.
Yo, Gonzalo.
All right. We're gonna work this out. Listen, this episode. Yeah, we can hear you. Listen, guys, this episode we got a lot to talk about. The Kovalev Canelo fight, light heavyweight showdown, is going to be taking place this Saturday, and there's a lot to cover. There's always something happening. Today they had that conference, the final press conference, and so we're going to talk about that. I don't know if you guys heard the drama that's going on. A little drama between Golden Boy and Canelo. It seems to me like some people want to create a little dissent between the ranks. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. We're just going to surf the internet and really get a sense of what people, because I know what the BDA family is saying. I know what you guys are saying, but I want to venture outside of our circle a little bit and really see what camps there are out there. Because I know there's some people saying, oh, Canelo's going to walk through Kovalev, he's done. Kovalev's old, he's going to crumble. Other people feel in this panel as well that Kovalev is going to murder Canelo. And then there's other people that are a little dubious about exactly what's going to happen. So we're going to take a look at that. Before we do that, let's get to the big story. All right? Because earlier today, what a coincidence, by the way. But earlier today, there was an article posted by Mike Coppinger. Now, I don't know if you guys know who Mike Coppinger is, but he's got ties, a certain affiliation to the PBC. Well, today he posted an article, and its headline is as follows. Let me just go to his Twitter real quick to show you what he says. And he's saying his article, Canelo Alvarez isn't keen on fighting Triple G for a third time, but he's confident that he would finish him in a trilogy fight. And he also says and this is the big headline for his article. He says Canelo rips. You can see there's no loyalty in him. Canelo says about De La Hoya. Apparently, there's a bit of a rift. Now, you guys, listeners of the show, know that this ain't big news. Jimmy told us about this. He told us that there was like I said, a rift between Canelo and De La Hoya, and it's been brewing for a while. But guys, what do you think about this? Isn't it a little bit of a coincidence that now is on fight week, they post this article today, even though it's probably been in the works for about maybe 2-3 months, according to what I've read? Anybody? Gonzalo? Revolucion?
Can
Take
you
it away,
hear me?
Gonzalo.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Not really, because we live in a time where it's all about the sensationalism, the headlines to get more views, whether they're positive or negative things to say. This will get people's attention. And yeah, there's a rift there. There's even news that Canelo can go his own way and start his own promotional company. I mean, it's been done in the past.
Uh-huh.
So who knows? I mean, De La Hoya's definitely his behavior has merited criticism, and maybe that has lost the respect of his own team, to where who can really trust a substance abuser and a person that's always having problems with the authorities, as far as like with women and stuff like that. So he
Oh,
probably he probably did lose the respect of Canelo just a little bit. And
Hmm.
him and Reynoso are probably snickering behind his back, and they even brought a Ryan Garcia into the mix. So it's not going to end; it's going to continue. Because once the
Right.
respect is gone, you can't get it back that easily.
Yeah,
Gonzalo, are you saying I'm untrustworthy?
No, 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 no. It's not about us. It's not about us. He asked me a question. Look, and also,
uh, no. I
let's
know.
keep it boxing. Let's keep it boxing. And also,
You said how
also,
could you
there's
trust a substance abuse? Guy with woman
look,
problems.
and also the money aspect. Once you touch that type of money, do you want to have it to where you're giving it, a big percentage of it away? That's where it lies, also.
Yeah, for sure. I think Canelo is starting to realize he could be his own commodity in boxing. He doesn't need to go through fucking Fishnet Golden Boy. He could be Ginger Boy Promotions. He doesn't need pay Oscar any more shit. So
yeah.
who
That
knows?
at this point, it's true. At this point, he does not need. He could branch out and do his own thing. It's interesting though that they're putting this article now on Fight Week when these two fighters, Kovalev and Canelo, really don't want any outside of the ring distractions, especially at this point, this close to the fight. So it's interesting that they would release this article at this point, and then also there was Mike Coppinger, and then Lance Pugmire, who's another cohort of Coppinger, went up to Canelo during the roundtable discussion. As you can see here, I'm putting up a little clip, and he kept on pressing Canelo about De La Hoya, even going as far as telling him straight up or asking him straight up, do you think De La Hoya is fit to run Golden Boy Promotions? Now, guys, I tell you, this smells to me like classic. And I mean classic divide and conquer tactics. Now, the question is, who wants a piece of Canelo's ass? Because the PBC, like Bucho, I told Bucho, I said, hey, do you think the PBC is behind this? Because, Mike Coppinger, like I said, there's an affiliation with Al Heyman. Maybe they want to divide and pull Canelo away from Golden Boy, from De La Hoya. And Bucho said, nah, I don't think so, because let's say Canelo goes to the PBC. Why would he go to the PBC? Who's he going to fight at the PBC? That's like Sean Porter going over with Top Rank or Errol Spence.
Charlo.
But come on,
Wait.
Revolucion.
I know.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? That's what Bucho told me. And I said, you know what? You're right. I don't think the PBC has the infrastructure, the financial infrastructure, or the incentive to get Canelo. So I'm started thinking, then who could it be? Then in this boxing scene article, where they talk about the original article from Coppinger about the rift between Canelo and De La Hoya, they mention that. Let me find it here. Okay, because apparently Canelo's team felt that De La Hoya attacked Reynoso, the trainer, Canelo's trainer, who also apparently trains Ryan Garcia, and they have their own. I think they work for Canelo Promotion, something like that. So at this point, there was a fighter. Well, shout out to Recognize the Matrix, who just donated with the super chat. Says Canelo Alvarez feels he doesn't need Oscar because De La Hoya won the Triple G fight earlier than later. Ginger head might be getting too big for his body to. Ginger's head might be getting too big for his body to handle. Well, that's one way of looking at it. Recognize that's one way. That's a good point. Anyway, Recognize. Thanks for the contribution. What?
Can we all go easy with the G word? I know we got a Canelo fight coming up, but can we all lay off for my own sake, please? Like, just go light on the ginger, you know?
You know what?
If you're gonna say it, put an A on the end. Say ginger, not ginger.
Is it because the G word is your N word? Is that what it is?
Dude, it's all the same letters. It's switch 2 letters. It's the same thing.
No, that's true. That's true.
We're all the same. So, and it's about color. So, come on. You know,
What about
any other time of the year we good, but I got to put up with it more during the week of a Canelo fight. So.
All right. What if I
please.
call you? Can I call you Ginger American? Is that better?
Yeah, but you just say my G. Just call me
All
my
right,
G.
my G. Or Jinja. Jinja instead of Ginger.
Ginger with an A. I'm
there you
good
go.
with that too.
Hey, I'm not a carrot head, so I can say. Oh no, because Grievous is calling you a carrot head. That's why I accidentally said that. Not my fault. Okay, Triple JJJ says goo, GEW. I mean, come on, these people are. This chat room can get a little out of hand. Yeah, this chat room can get a little out of hand. But anyway, Recognize the Matrix. Thank you again for your contribution. And you know what? Recognize might be onto something because, like you guys were saying, Canelo. At this point in his career, he can call his own shots pretty much. If he wanted to, he could get his own thing going, kind of like Mayweather did prior to his move away from Bob Arum. And probably this whole thing really came to fruition when they tried to force Triple G on him, and Canelo said, "Well, actually, you know what? If I call my own shots and I don't have Golden Boy after me or on my tail, maybe I can do my own thing." But then again, he still has to deal with the DAZN, who are paying him a substantial salary, and they want a return on their investment. They don't want to see Canelo taking on a bunch of Rocky Fielding. So. Listen, I don't know what's going on. I don't know behind the scenes what's going on. But my theory was that maybe the PBC was behind this little rift. But like Bucho said, they don't have the financial infrastructure to steal him away. So I decided to look at the article here. Something interesting here at the end. It says, what got lost in the shuffle last week is when Canelo Promotions, headed by Reynoso, signed Julio Cesar Martinez to rival promoter Eddie Hearn instead of to Golden Boy. And the press release said, "It's a pleasure to start this alliance with the best promoter in boxing," said Eddie Reynoso. "We will work very hard and with great enthusiasm to launch Mexican talents to the big boxing leagues." So then that's when I realized it hit me. It hit me. Maybe the PBC is not behind this. Maybe it's Matchroom Boxing.
Yeah, that's right. There was a tweet to where Oscar referred to Eddie Reynoso as a trainer, didn't even call him by his first name, to where Eddie Reynoso publicly called out De La Hoya and said, "Remember, I was the first guy to ever bring you a champion in Oscar Larios." Okay? And he feels that Eddie, that he hasn't ever gotten the credit that he deserves, pretty much. Okay? And I also think that they would have gone their own way, but, the only thing that De La Hoya brings to the table is that he's bilingual and he's American citizen. To where Canelo, he lives in San Diego now. He's spending a lot of time over here. If he was looking into establishing himself in the United States, he's a Mexican citizen and he needs to assemble a team to where he can do that and get rid of De La Hoya.
You know what? That's a great point because I just said, I was like, oh, maybe Canelo's realizing he could be his own commodity. He don't need De La Hoya. But speaking English, that's a big fucking part of the whole entertainment aspect in America. So until he could get his I before E except after C down and all that shit, he's going to need Oscar to do the talking for him.
Exactly. Yeah, because the guy can't speak English. I mean, I can get two Mexicans outside of the Home Depot right now who are going to speak better English than Canelo. He is trying his best. Don't get me wrong. He's really trying to expand. But yeah, like he still needs somebody behind him to be able to rally the masses behind him. Now, something interesting. I decided to go on boxing scene, which, like I said, I can't. Being on boxing scene is like being in going deep sea diving. You can't do it. You can't stay underwater for too long before the pressure gets to you, and that's what the boxing scene forum area is. It's just a toxic. Even for me, it's too toxic. But I decided to see what people say about this little brouhaha that's going on between De La Hoya and Canelo, and I surprisingly I found some interesting and funny comments. Somebody said, "Who is loyal in boxing and to what end? Fighters fight for the money and titles. They need managers and promoters to get them the right fights and to move their career along. Look where Alvarez is now. Signed the biggest contract in boxing ever. He's the biggest pay-per-view draw right now. And he's frustrated with Oscar because Oscar tried to push a third fight with Triple G. Alvarez is big enough now that he wants to be his own boss and keep more of his money. Nothing wrong with that, but he should just come out and say it instead of all this passive-aggressive nonsense. Again, maybe he's a little bit cognizant of the fact that he cannot be going around burning bridges. Maybe. Okay. And then there was another comment here. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I can't, as De La Hoya being the promoter, I can't blame him for saying what he did in regards to the Triple G fight without previously consulting that, with Canelo, because if they ask you a question on the fly, what are you gonna answer? Yeah, my fighter's willing to fight the best, but at the same time, okay, yeah, I don't blame De La Hoya. He's assuming that Canelo has no reason to duck Triple G. But then again, I don't know Canelo how he feels about that, because he's already been in the ring 2 times with Triple G, and Triple G is a killer. And I give him credit for those 2 fights, although he lost the first one, and whatever you want to think about the second one, just this is in general for anybody how they feel about that. But look, Triple G's a killer. He's a killer. He can kill a human with one punch.
Oh.
And I give him credit for stepping in the ring with him 2 times, and this speaks volumes about who Triple G is.
So
And
can I.
Yeah, go ahead, Rick. And that's all I wanted to say. That
No, I
I
was
kind
gonna
of
say
give
I could
credit
kill.
to. Yeah.
All I was gonna say was I could kill somebody with a. I could kill another human being with a punch.
Me too. 10 years old and younger, I can do it.
That's
You
what I
stole
was
my
gonna say.
line, Revolution. God damn it!
Fuck, I jumped in. But you're actually tough, man. You could actually fight. So I thought you were, really flexing.
Oh yeah, I'm a
No.
big dude. I'm
Well,
a big guy.
if Recognize is telling the truth about some of his stories, and by the way, we got to do that second
I
Renaissance
never
episode.
lie. I never lied, BDA. Never
I
in my
know.
life have I ever lied.
No. But I'm just saying is we need to do another second Renaissance so you can finally tell that story on the air, the one that you told Jimmy and myself in private, because that's a hell of a story right there, man.
Actually, I'm making the other guy look good, but it's true. It's not. There's no lying there. The guy, like I said, I've never seen that in my whole life.
Jeez, I
And
mean,
I don't know many people that I've told that story to. They'd be like, "Nah, that's impossible."
well, hold on. Anyway, listen, that's a story for another time.
That's the story for another time.
That's right. That's one of those stories you tell your kids before bedtime. Now, listen, we got. First of all, again, thank you for the contribution, Recognize. Really appreciate it.
No problem, man.
Fantastic. Listen, I don't know if you heard what we were talking about in regards to this little rift between Canelo and Golden Boy. What do you make of it? And do you think it's a little strange that they're posting these stories on the week of the fight?
It could be, I think it's real. That's first, because they've been having a little rift now for a little while. It's one of those things where maybe they're airing it out for the public to see, to sort of like gain some interest for the fight. I mean, I don't think Canelo really needs to do that much, but maybe that's a little tactic that they're using to get some more fans to want to see the fight. Also, what I mainly believe is this is what happens when guys start to make a whole lot of money. Like like Canelo, they start feeling naturally, just a natural feeling, especially when you take personality types um, that could be developed by getting a lot of money. You know, you start actually thinking that you're bigger than you really are. Or maybe when it comes to money, maybe he's right. Maybe he doesn't need De La Hoya. He's like, look, I could make this kind of money without him. I could just cut him off. I don't like his behavior and stuff like that. I don't like how he tries to get me in tough fights for a whole lot of money all the time. Always, he look De La Hoya. If you look at De La Hoya's career, you look at Canelo's career. It's almost kind of similar. You know, it's in terms of, we could say what we want about Canelo, but he does fight, these tough competitions, and you know, De La Hoya took that route. Excuse me, he took that route. The same thing. He lost more than he won, right, when it came to the big name fights. But maybe he wants Canelo to take that route, where Canelo's like, okay, I'm fine with it, but you don't dictate it because I'm Canelo Alvarez. You don't dictate
Mm-hmm.
that shit to me. I tell you when I want that fight.
The,
I'll fight Kovalev just to show you. You get what I'm saying? I'll fight Kovalev, not Triple G.
yeah, that's insane. Yeah, there's obviously some ego thing going on where Canelo feels. And by the way, somebody made a point in the chat room. They said, "Well, wait a minute, can't Canelo do this all on his own now that he has the?" Or somebody said, "Why does he need to learn how to speak English if he's already got the Mexican market behind him, which are driving the sales?" But if you want to be mainstream as a boxing figure, you can't just stick to the Mexican market. Julio Cesar Chavez did that, but he wasn't a mainstream star. He was mainstream in Mexico, but he wasn't a mainstream star in the United States. No matter how many Mexicans there are in the United States, if he wants to be like a De La Hoya Mayweather type, he needs to speak English, and that's just there's no other way about it.
But
Even
to
fighting.
be to and I agree with you, but to Canelo's advantage, we live in social media, in a social media world
Hmm.
where he's got so many fans outside of, well, in Mexico, right? Mainly Mexico, but there were parts of Mexico that in the 80s and the 70s that couldn't even watch Julio Cesar Chavez fight
That's true.
because that part of Mexico, that part of the world, were not allowed. And Gonzalo probably knows this, what parts, but there were parts of Mexico that couldn't even get fights, Julio Cesar Chavez fights. And we don't live in that world anymore. We live in that. I can watch everything on my phone. It's available to just about everybody. So Canelo has a huge fan base, um, and he demands a lot of money. He demands a lot of money. I'm losing my train of thought. Oh, okay. So because he demands a lot of money, and we live in this. We can watch boxing fights on our phones now. World. He probably doesn't need that lawyer. Maybe he's right. And maybe he'll find out the hard way what it's like to like have a promoter that's pretty connected. You know what I'm saying? And because Matchroom, look, let's say if he was to go to Matchroom, because I think that's the only logical explanation. I don't think he'll go to Al Heyman. Al Heyman doesn't have a reputation to make that kind of money Canelo's making, right?
Hmm.
Outside of Floyd Mayweather. So to me, it would be Matchroom. He's gonna put him in there in fights that don't put it past Eddie Hearn, bro. Eddie Hearn understands, like, yeah, it's good for my stars to lose fights because it gains more interest. Where De La Hoya is trying to protect his prize, and what I mean by that is, benefit of the doubt judges, suspect referees, and stuff,
But you know what?
and things of that matter.
You're bringing a good point about the difference between Eddie Hearn and De La Hoya. And by the way, just real quick, because I see McGregor sending messages, but I can't read what his messages are saying. I'm assuming. Listen, if I'll be sending more invites as the show goes along, but I don't have Bucho on here, so and we're looking a lot of internet articles, so I'll be sending more invites as the show goes along. But I don't want too many people today, because otherwise we're never gonna get to the articles that we've got here and really read more of the audience's comments as well. But oh, Gonzalo, you gonna say something?
Sure. I was just gonna say that maybe they feel Canelo's team. aside from Golden Boy, that the zone is doing a lot of like the work, the promotion to where De La Hoya is MIA most of the time, getting in like these bizarre incidences to where they don't need him because look, Canelo's got a big family. He's got 7 brothers, 4 kids, I think 2 sisters, 2 trainers. He's got a lot of people in his ear. You know that this is probably the way he feels, and it has to do with money. And I think Eddie Reynoso, that dude's got balls. You know, he's not gonna duck. He's not gonna duck his head down to De La Hoya. He's gonna speak his mind. The only disadvantage here is a language barrier.
That's true.
That's what De La Hoya does well. He prepares a speech, and when it comes to fight night, he does deliver. But that's about it.
That's true. And now I wanted to add something to what Recognize was saying about Hearn and De La Hoya. I was telling Bucho this. I said, because people are saying that Canelo cannot lose this fight. There's no way he's gonna lose. Everything's on his side. Don't be too cynical about it. Listen, this is boxing. You cannot control everything that goes on inside that ring. He's gonna be fighting a killer, okay, a guy who has fought the best light heavyweights in the world and beaten the best light heavyweights in the world, and he can crack like a mofo. So when people say, "Well, Canelo's safe in there, all he has to do is go to the distance,"
No,
and he
he's
gets
not.
exactly, he's not safe. And recognize to your point, I think Golden Boy, I get the impression that it's true. They're too concerned with Canelo. They don't want him to lose. But here's a fact. Here's a fact for everybody. If Canelo loses, depending on how he loses, of course, but even if he loses by knockout or whatever, he's not gonna lose a lot of his star power. All he has to do is come back against a guy like Deryachenko or somebody else, get a good win, maybe even get a tune-up and look sensational by knocking out a guy in 3 rounds, and boom, he's back. A loss
Yeah.
does not hurt him in the long run.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, again, I don't know. I'm not in his head. I'm not in his circle or anything like that. But he maybe to himself, he's like, I'm going to try to live out this contract without losing a fight. Or if I do lose a fight, I want to lose it at the very end. When I'm older. If he's thinking that, and I'm just saying, if he's thinking that, he could be overthinking that because a loss is not going to hurt him. Unless he goes in there, he just gets fucking demolished. I mean, you could get knocked out and look good. I mean, look, what I mean by look good in the sense that the fight was competitive. What about Manny Pacquiao when he got knocked out by Marquez? Nobody said that wasn't a competitive fight. It was a competitive fight until he got knocked out, right?
Exactly.
So the same thing could happen with a Canelo Alvarez. He can go into a fight where he's putting damage, he's getting a little damage done to him, and he just runs into a big punch that might take him out or whatever. And he could still be the superstar that he is. Again, I don't know if that's what he's thinking, but I think more than anything is just controlling his career. When you start making a whole lot of money, you start thinking listen, I'm a businessman. I don't need this guy to expand my career. He's done his part. Maybe he is truly upset with De La Hoya about other things that he's doing, like outside the ring and not taking care of certain businesses because he's out there partying and all the crazy stuff that we've heard about him. Maybe it is true, but I think it's more likely Canelo saying, I don't need De La Hoya guiding my career. I'm not a little kid no more. I make a whole lot of money. I don't need this guy. I could do this on my own.
And I want to add to your point, Recognize, too, real quick about how Canelo could get knocked out and still be a star. You say as long as, potentially he looks good in getting knocked out. I think even if he gets embarrassed in getting knocked out, that might be a little bit of a atonement, so to speak, for some of the bullshit in his career. I think some people be like, you know what? You got laid the fuck out. You paid your dues. We're even. I'm a fan now,
Yeah, like for instance, look at Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran, there was nothing nice about the way he got knocked out by Tommy Hearns. That was brutal.
No. Oh, God, no.
But it didn't hurt him. It didn't hurt him. Like he came. Look, did it hurt him in the sense that he started to look older and he started to look not like the invincible Roberto Duran, the animal coming after you? Maybe it took that away. Maybe it took that away a little bit. But look at the wins he ended up having after that. I mean, not too many, but Iran Barkley, who beat the shit out of Tommy Hearns, in one fight and outbox him in the second fight. He goes in there in a tough fight and beats Iran Barkley, the guy that was schooling the guy who knocked him out. That's how boxing works. So
exactly. It may have taken away the facade, well, not facade, but the image of invincibility and whatnot.
Right.
But it doesn't take everything away.
Just like with Pacquiao gets knocked out by Marquez. Nobody's gonna say, "Damn, he just had no shot in hell." He was beating up Marquez in parts of that fight.
Yeah,
broke his nose, and I never forget that interview right after. I just happened to be watching Gonzalo knows his channel, Telemundo, and probably BDA. It's a Spanish channel. I just happened to be on that channel, and I remember him having an interview saying that was my last punch. And they were like, "What do you mean? What do you like?" To get him to further explain himself, and he said he broke my nose. I took it as he's saying I couldn't fight no more after that. I can't go past that round and think that I'm going to keep fighting with a broken nose.
Oh no.
So yeah, and that ain't hurt Pacquiao's career. That it took some invincibility away from him, but it ain't.
Man, let me tell you, man.
Yeah, and that's a bad clip too, man. It looked like Pacquiao got fucking shot by a sniper in the audience.
Exactly.
Right on his fucking face. But he's the goddamn greatest of all time, one of them. So.
And you know what?
Yeah.
That's the thing about Pacquiao. He got, other than the punch, most people found it disturbing the way he was laid out. But to me, it actually looked like he was taking a little peaceful nap. Just taking a little nap there, a little nappy nap. I mean,
siesta.
He was taking
they got siesta in the Philippines? Do they got siesta in the Philippines?
What's that again?
Gonzalo, do they have siesta in the Philippines? I know it's a very Spanish-influenced country.
Siesta. It sounds like that word. I think they utilized it before. That basically means a nap. Yes.
Yeah,
I think I heard it before.
No, but he's asking you. Nap. Yeah, do they take naps in? Is it the same concept in Mexico as in the Philippines than the siesta?
Did
like
they bring the siesta to the Philippines?
I'm not sure really.
All right. Well, that was a very people are
awkward moment.
Yeah, people are going to kill us in the chat room for that one. Well, listen, just real quick.
Yeah, that was a little siesta in the.
Yeah, a little siesta for the show. Just real quick, because I'm really interested in this whole rift between Canelo and De La Hoya. And so Canelo is saying that De La Hoya is not a loyal guy. And actually, he said a couple of things that I've said before about De La Hoya. The way he was always changing trainers. And according to Emmanuel Stewart, he said that when he got fired, he wasn't even approached by De La Hoya himself. De La Hoya sent his brother to do his bidding for him. So I'm looking at the...
Good old Joel.
Yeah, Joel. Yeah, Joel De La Hoya. And here's somebody though in Mike Uppinger's Twitter feed. Somebody made a comment, and it's a little bit true here. He says, "Oh shit, where is it?" It says, "Didn't Canelo break his first contract to join Golden Boy in the first place? Clearly, he's a loyal guy." He says sarcastically. Coppinger is making a career move to jump on the Canelo train and drag Golden Boy Promotions and Oscar through the mud. Well done. I think I see where this guy's coming from. It's true, no? I mean, come on. I mean, loyalty. Was Canelo really loyal by breaking contract to join Golden Boy? You know what I mean? So now he's talking about loyalty. Isn't that a little bit hypocritical? And especially from Coppinger too, trying to ride this rift so soon prior to the fight.
Boxing is interesting too, where I bet when they see each other, like in the fights, in these dinners, like Coppinger, Suleiman, all these promoters, and they have to smile and shake hands, but when they hug and come together, I bet behind their backs, they're thinking, man, fuck this guy, like I feel like stabbing him in the back and shit.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way it works, man. It's a cutthroat business in there. It's a bunch of sharks, and it's interesting because if you want to read this article from Coppinger, you have to pay a subscription. Now, let me tell you something. I do not pay to read. I go to the library where there's, you can hide in between the bookshelves and do your dirty stuff in there. You can go to the computers. That's what I love about the library. You can do whatever. But I'm not going to pay.
Can you imagine having to pay to read something? Like, fuck off.
Insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah. And especially an article. I'll buy a magazine, but I will not pay to buy one of the subscription services from a website. No way.
Yeah,
And by the way,
I'm with you.
people are saying also that the translator that was talking to Canelo in the press conference was butchering his quotes today. So maybe the same thing happened between Coppinger and Canelo when he was in Canelo's camp trying to get the dirt on De La Hoya. I don't know if Coppinger can speak Spanish, so just a little change in a word or something can really distort the meaning of a phrase or of a
Yep.
sentence. So
I've seen
That's
Canelo say things that the interpreter is like, I'm like, no, he did not say that. Stop trying to
exactly,
make it sound so simple. He said it. He said it. It could be like a something he said in Spanish slang that is universal in Latin countries. We know exactly what he meant.
exactly,
They'll say it like,
yeah,
a peaceful way. Like, no, no, no. He said, go fuck yourself. That's what he basically said without saying it.
yeah. It's like you don't translate word for word. Like when you have a title for a movie in English, when you translate it in Spanish, you don't translate it the same. You say it in a different way. Like that lady was using the word when they said it in Spanish, like great. She said huge. I know great is grande, which is pretty much huge, but it's a different word. It's you don't say you have a huge fighter because that means big fight. You have supposed to say great. Okay, and a lot of things like that to where she translated word for word, but in the end, it loses the connotation of the phrase. You have to
Wait a
be more
second.
accurate.
Maybe she meant huge. Maybe Canelo, showed her something behind the scenes. He said, "Oh,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, huge."
yeah, she also said like asaltos is round, and she said assault. Assault is not asalto. It's just little words like that.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man. I mean, who knows what's going on, man? I mean, that's why I prefer to deal with merchants on a face to face basis, person to person basis. I don't want to hear an interpreters. I mean, listen, I'm lucky because I can speak Spanish, but other non-Spanish speakers, they're out of the loop and they don't know what the heck's going on. Suffice to say that here's what Canelo said. They asked him, what's his name, the other good dude, not Coppinger, the one I mentioned before. Anyway, he was asking Canelo, do you think what's going on between you and De La Hoya? And then Canelo, he feigned ignorance a little bit. He said, well, I don't understand the question. And then the translator reiterated the question a different way, and Canelo goes, nah, I still don't understand the question. So finally, the writer said, do you think De La Hoya is fit to run the company? And then finally, Canelo said, you know what, this is business stuff, and I'm not here to talk legal stuff. I'm here to talk about the fight. So he didn't want to throw De La Hoya under the bus in public. Clearly, he doesn't want to be talking about this right now, so close to the fight. We'll see what happens afterwards. We'll see if Eddie Hearn tries to scoop him up. Maybe him and the DAZN are going to be working directly with Canelo and no longer deal with De La Hoya. I don't know, but that's that in terms of this fucking thing. Now,
Yeah,
Butcho gave me some. Yeah, go ahead, Gonzalo.
I was just gonna say, I think to De La Hoya's credit, he's developed thick skin because I don't think he easily gets phased by like drama. Because like they asked him before to where in public, what's up with those pictures when you dressed up like a female, and he
Oh,
was like, this is America. we can all we can all like correct our mishaps and move on. He does a lot of things to where even he's still getting caught up into things to where he comes back and he's developed thick skin to deal with like the drama. I don't know if you wouldn't want to call it like two face whatnot, but he can deal with this stuff.
yeah, I think so. I think so. But now here's the question, though. Jimmy was talking about how there was this rift for a long time now between De La Hoya and Canelo. We also spoke about how De La Hoya got essentially outfoxed by Richard Schaefer and Al Heyman, basically when he was undergoing rehab. And so maybe you're onto something there, Gonzalo, about whether De La Hoya is fit to be running this company. This boxing game is full of sharks, and maybe De La Hoya is not quite the shark when it comes to promotion. He was a hell of a fighter, don't get me wrong, beat some of the best, fought everybody, almost everybody. But when it comes to promotion, it just seems like maybe he's too distracted. Maybe he's not as good a businessman as he's supposed to be.
I don't think that's it. No, I don't think that's it. just choked on my food here.
On the
Anyway,
huge cock.
What you
Yeah,
eat?
go ahead.
I'm always eating when I'm on the show. You know.
What are you eating? No, I got food too.
Nothing crazy. I had some
Get down there
mashed
on your
potato,
knees
mashed
and
potatoes
eat my
and,
fucking ass.
meatloaf.
He's eating
All
ass.
right.
Get down there and eat my ass.
Good old comfort. I got some Burger King right now. I grabbed on the way home.
Yo,
quick.
I had me some Burger King last night. I got it on Uber Eats. Fuck it.
All right.
Yes.
Listen. What is
Sometimes
this?
you just gotta do it, man. All right, back on subject. Let's get this
back on
fun.
subject.
Revolution comes up.
Come on,
Revolution
guys.
comes
Enough's
up.
enough.
Revolution comes up with the weirdest questions to Stu. What type of music do you listen to? Hey, recognize what you eating. Hey, recognize when you wipe. Do you stand up or do you sit down? Shut up. Nobody cares.
Stand up, sit down. Hey, do enough of that in fucking Catholic Church, you know?
Oh,
I only bring it up because I know there's a few people in the chat that are disgusted when I eat on the air. They're like, I've seen comments like, recognize it's disgusting when he eats in the air.
Well, he also got other businesses like the Houston Dynamo, right? The soccer team, and
Yeah, like this dude is, this is like a smear campaign. Like nobody's saying De La Hoya is perfect. He probably has issues, but that he doesn't know how to run a business, he's irresponsible. Then how the fuck is he making money? How is he making these guys some of the biggest money, especially Canelo? I get it. Canelo does a lot of that himself. Being Mexican, being a very good fighter, and all that. But don't tell me that De La Hoya doesn't know how to run a business. That's a smear campaign. That's sort of like what politicians do to each other.
Dude, De La Hoya is fucking up there with Tyson with name recognizability to fucking boxing laymen. People who don't know literally anything about boxing. They know Tyson. Ask him name another boxer. De La Hoya? Like, that might be a top 3 name that someone will come up with. So how could he not be making money with fucking name recognition?
Well, maybe. I mean, but as far as promotion goes, it's something else. I mean, he needs to rely more on his intellect than on his physicality. Yeah. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe a guy like Richard Schaefer, fucking Swiss banker, and Al Heyman, who's a bit of a shadow. It seems like he dabbles in the shadow realm. Maybe he's got a connection to Satan himself. I don't know. And then, of course, you got Bob Arum. Let's not even go into him about how shrewd he can be. Don King, a former convict. Who else is there? Eddie Hearn, who seems to have been in this promotional world since he was a kid, maybe, because his father also was involved in this. So what I'm saying is maybe compared to those guys, De La Hoya is still a little bit behind when it comes to shrewdness. I don't know. That's just my question. But I don't know, though. I don't know jack squat about business, though, or boxing promotion. So don't take my word for it. I'm just asking a question, a rhetorical question. Now, also, I want to show you guys a little clip here. Oh, shit. What is this? Okay, so there was this woman, Adriana Jimenez. She's got a channel called Fino Boxing, and she's in Las Vegas right now for the Grand Arrivals. I just found out that I had this tab open, and I wasn't.
It's a sexy name. What's her name?
Well, you know what? Fuck her name. Just if you wanna, I'm gonna put her image up here. I wasn't even planning on using it for the show, but as long as it's in here, why not? There. Hold on. Let me put. There we go. There she is.
Yeah.
About that, guys.
I like her.
Man. Look.
I mean,
those fucking.
First of all, what the hell is she? What is she wearing though? I don't get it. Because you see how it's folded there.
She's wearing her fuck me blouse.
That's what it's called. Yeah, the fuck me. I mean, come on. You're going. It's like, are we supposed to look at your eyes there, honey, or are we supposed to look at those milky?
Like, I'm not
tits?
supposed to look at your tits. Like, come on.
I mean, come on. Yeah.
Yeah. As a man, it should be illegal and considered not harassment to comment on any body part you can see out in the open.
Exactly.
I should be able to go to her and be like, "You got some beautiful titties." They're out. I can see them. Why do I have to fucking? Anyway.
Well, look at the comments. Let's look at the comment section.
She wants you to notice them.
Oh, a nice little fucking. Yeah, the titty fuck with the eggplant. What are those? Two lemons? What the hell are those?
I don't know what they are, but this guy goes, Adriana is smoking hot and she knows it. 323. Work it, own it, work it. She loves that T-Days comments. You know she does. Oh, yeah. Women love it. Even when they act like, oh, you're such a pig. Deep down inside, they like that they get this type
They
of
love it.
attention in
You
companies. They
know,
love it.
that's
Yeah.
their fucking worth, man. That's
They
that's
like that.
their purpose.
They love when we behave like savages around them. They like it. I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
It's,
I've been around.
it's
I've
true.
been around. I've been around
Yeah,
a
she
little.
looks good. She must work out a lot because she's got that big frame to where she's one of the Mexicans. When she gets older, she's gonna gain a lot of weight. She must be on that clenbuterol or something.
Wait, what? Wait. Clambuterol.
Yeah, you can
Nah,
tell if she lets go. If she lets go, she's gonna
Yo,
get thick.
she got clambuterol tits.
She looks big frame
You
to
know,
where
yeah.
when she lets go a little bit, she stops working out and starts eating a little bit more. She can gain weight real
in the
easy.
kitchen. Yeah, you start squinting, you can see an abuela in about another 40 years, you know?
yeah, or a
You
tia.
see it. Got the body, yeah, tia, abuela, something.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. It's some of these women. It's true.
Yeah.
They're young and they work out and so they can do it. But just stop working out a little bit and keep on eating trash. You look at those girls. Every time they're on Instagram, they're always taking pictures of what they're eating, and it's all fucking salads. But every once in a while, you see a big ass cake, cupcakes, ice cream, the whole
They're
enchilada.
lying. They be exactly.
Oh, yeah, one in the morning in the kitchen with,
Yeah.
with a Ben and Jerry's crying to themselves and no one
You know
knows
what?
about.
My daughter the other day, she was complaining about her weight. I said, "Listen,
Whoa.
why you complain?" I said, "Why you complaining about your weight? All you gotta do is go to the bathroom after you eat. Just let it all go, and boom, you're set. Yeah, you can eat whatever you want, honey. Don't worry about it." But then her
Bulimic's
fucking
got bad breath, though, man. It rots the back of your teeth when you're bulimic, man. Tell it go
revolucion,
anorexic.
revolucion. That's why they invented bubblegum. Come on.
Nah, it straight up rots the back of your teeth, man. Your teeth get fucked.
Listen, my
It ain't
daughter,
just bad breath.
my daughter, that little whore is listening to the show. Don't fucking contradict me, all right? Don't contradict me on the air.
Take it
Man,
easy.
roll the screen up. I don't want to see the comments anymore. Roll that back up to Adriana.
No. Let's keep going with the. Let's keep going a little bit with the comments. Some guy goes, "The twins made it to Las Vegas." Damn girl, you are hot. Ah wee. Oh, look at that. There's a comment from Ness Mendoza. Let's see what he said. 12. He's got the mark time stamp there. He says, "Wow, Adriana, my twins look gorgeous as fuck." Take care, ma'am. Peace, salute. All right, so we see Ness Mendoza stalking the girl. Poor girl on her YouTube channel. Ness, don't go around stalking her everywhere else, all right, man? You got to keep it classy. I hope Sports Illustrated reaches out to her to make a bikini. Hey, Duck is in there too. Look at that.
Hey,
That fucking creep.
God, you horny bastard, you.
Kovalev should throw some money on her 100%. And then there's this guy goes, he's being sued for $8 million by some bitch. Oh, jeez. What's with the harsh language against women? I don't go for that type of stuff. Not on this show.
you know the unfortunate thing is for this bitch to get in a goddamn Sports Illustrated, she either have to gain 100 pounds or get a leg amputated or get a fucking tumor or some shit, man. It's a freak show in that thing nowadays.
You think, guys? You think she's got the type of tits with the big vein? Like, some girls have these like fake tits and all, and you can see like a big blue vein. Do you think she's got those veiny tits, or
Yeah, she could have them by the nipples.
On the underside, yeah.
By the nipples, they might be a little veiny.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. And look at her. She keeps fucking wearing that cleavage. I mean, come on. Who are you trying to fool, honey? You're not gonna
Yeah,
fool
line.
Mr. BDA. All right.
I'd do a line of cocaine out of that cleavage right there. Oh my.
Well, that's the
not
thing.
for nothing. I'm not trying to brag, but she's not all that because I've banged girls like that plenty of times.
All right.
Show off. I've had some.
Just showing up a little.
Hey, recognize how fast.
easy.
You go up to her and she probably. You never know, right? She might flake a little bit, like, "Oh, I'm not interested." How fast do you think she would get on board the recognize the Matrix train if you had a little bag of you know what I mean, a little stimulant powder, if you know what I mean?
Give me the whole night, and I guarantee you I'll bang her at the end of the night.
Without the bag of cocaine.
Now maybe I have to influence her a little bit. Maybe. Give her a little couple of drinks, let her start feeling a little unnecessary.
Right. Well, my point was that some of these girls, if you try everything and they don't go for it, all you got to do is pull out the little powder of, the makeup powder, if you know what I mean, the little bag of powder, and they're all over you. Listen, I'm not proud of it, but this was before I found my Lord and Savior
The
Jesus
Lord
Christ.
Jesus Christ.
That's
Yeah.
right. Thank you. But listen, enough of
And
this
just to
boring.
be just so you guys understand, I don't cheat on my wife. I'm just saying that girls like her, before I was this faithful man, I used to bang them all the time.
That's right. But not anymore, though. That's what you're saying.
Not anymore. Now I just flirt with them, maybe.
Uh, all right. So that's the official story he's telling on the air. Then off the air, he tells us another thing completely different. Now listen,
Another
here's the.
story.
I believe it. I'll back it.
I wanted to talk something about. Hold on a second. I want to talk about the Walter Murray's in the chat says, Mr. BDA, are you really religious? I don't want to get into that because you tell people that you're religious, immediately they assume you're Catholic. I'm not going to go into the whole thing. But listen, here's the point I want to make about Canelo versus Kovalev. We've talked on, by the way, check out the film analysis we did over at BDA Live with Gypsy, Bucho, and Recognize. It's a three-parter. It's very interesting. If you want to see how Kovalev might beat Canelo and vice versa, go check that out. BDA Live
Whoa.
or secondary channel.
That's a 3-man film study?
No, it's a three-part study.
3-part. Recognized did one, Gypsy did one.
Well, no, it's all at the same
Bucho, you
time.
said?
We're all doing it on board at the
That's
same
what I'm
time.
saying. It's 3 different guys doing the same thing. It's not just you or Bucho talking about the film study. It's 3, like a little panel on the film study.
Exactly,
right?
yeah, exactly.
That's dope. I'm gonna definitely check that out.
Well, next time we're on. Next time we do it too, jump on. Okay, but the thing is, we didn't want to bring too many people on the first one because we want to see how it flowed. If there's too many people talking over each other,
You did it on Discord or you did it on that fucking Rabbit shit?
Nah, because Discord. I mean, Rabbit, you can't stream what you have on your desktop, so we decided to just screen share it on Discord, and that's the way it worked. All right, now listen. I wanted to show you guys. We talk about how Canelo might be in trouble on this one. All right. Now I don't have the official predictions from you guys here. Butch has got it in a separate document, but if I remember correctly, Recognize said Canelo by corrupt decision. I think.
No, I'm going with. Believe it, I'm going with Kovalev.
Oh.
I think he's going to get a split decision. I think it's going the distance, though.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm probably going to be wrong. I think the more likely is probably the if it goes 12 rounds is going to be given to Canelo, especially if it's pretty competitive. But I'm not going with that. I'm going to go with who I think is going to win. I think Kovalev beats him on points.
All right. Well, the reason why I mentioned all of this is because I was watching the press conference today. Well, I didn't watch the conference, but I would just watch the when they finally face each other off. I'm going to put it up there on the screen. There is a substantial size difference in terms of height, of course, a height difference. But when it comes to now this is a little bit tricky because Canelo's wearing a suit and Kovalev is wearing a t-shirt, and we know Kovalev is a very lean guy, so there might be some weird visual elements here at play. But Kovalev does look in certain instances like he's the bigger dude. And then there's other times where I look at Canelo and I go, you know what? He actually looks on his frame with the muscle he's got. They look about as strong as they're going to be. I mean, what do you guys think? Do they look about... Wow. You let me know, guys. What do you think about this image?
That's a big fucking height difference.
Well, it's 4 inches.
When it comes to the well, he's wearing a suit. But Canelo is big. He's one of those guys that he don't have height, but he'll match you in weight. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, remember that story I was telling you about the guy?
Which guy?
The guy that I was telling you about with Jimmy on the air. We weren't on the air. We were.
Yeah.
That was you see the size difference between them two? That was exactly me and him. I'm Kovalev and he's Canelo.
And you couldn't beat the guy up?
Well, that guy was a monster.
Oh, yeah, right, man.
He probably...
Yeah, he packs a lot of muscle on his back, especially now. not quite as much as Adonis Stevenson. I think you mentioned that before, BDA. But
Mhm.
he's packing a lot of muscle on his back and also on his thighs. He's a short, stocky dude for
Yeah.
the light heavyweight division.
Sure.
Now, here's my thing though, because the big question is, well, can jeez, the big question is, can what's his name, Canelo, hurt Kovalev? My point is this: I think he can hurt him if he catches him correctly. Now, the question is not can he hurt him with one shot, which I think he can, but can he hit him enough times to stop him or wear him down? And that's where stamina comes in. That's what I was telling people couple of episodes ago. I said that to me that the question is not does he have the punching powers, does he have the stamina and the activity rate to really put it on Kovalev. And I went on the Sherdog message board, and somebody made an interesting comment. They said, hold on a second, I'm looking for the comment here. I had it here earlier. Now I zoom in and it's gone. All right, it says this is from a guy called Kovalev's Men Bag, and he says it's a cardio issue. Speaking of Kovalev, that he's recently masked by being more intelligent pacing himself and boxing more rather than punching as much. He's made strides to become more efficient and economical than he was in the past because he has to be. After 4 rounds with Yard, he was already breathing very hard between rounds, and it's not like he was trying to knock his head off. Kovalev didn't always gas halfway through the fight, though he would fade, but that was much more manageable. Now, let me just say something real quick.
He's got a point there.
But yeah, but let me just say one thing here. I do think that Kovalev's stamina has always been a little bit iffy. Against Jean Pascal, if you guys remember, he started out quick. By the third round, he had, or fourth round, I think it was, he stunned Pascal. He got a technical knockdown there, standing 8 count, I believe. And then all of a sudden, Pascal started doing a little bit of a comeback. Same thing happened against Ward. He started out strong against Ward, and then in the middle rounds, Ward started to get the best of him. Of course, he stopped Ward, stopped Kovalev in the rematch against Eleider Alvarez. Kovalev really got knocked out. It was in the middle rounds. Against Eleider Alvarez in the rematch, he did much better, but he was also fading a little bit. And then against Yard, he faded. So my question is this: Canelo, if he brings, does he really need to bring a high activity rate, or are the feints and the head movement gonna tire Kovalev out? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, what he needs to do is sort of get inside and try to, avoid getting avoid getting controlled on the outside. I'm not going to say hit because he's going to get hit, right?
Mhm.
You can minimize that. But you don't want Kovalev timing you and controlling distance. That's what you don't want because you'll lose. You'll definitely lose on points that way. So he's got to, about tying him out. Look, that you got to go with the flow of a fight. Like the one thing, there's no real game plan to like tire somebody out. You got to see what they bring in the ring come fight night, and then if you start noticing that there's fatigue issues on his side, you capitalize on that. You try to capitalize on it. You don't go in there saying, my plan is to fatigue him.
Right.
You get what I'm
Right.
saying? Like that shouldn't be your plan.
But it should be
Your
part of the
plan is if
package,
you
right?
notice, huh?
What I'm saying is
Sorry, go ahead.
it should be part of the package. Like you're gonna impose
Well, yeah,
yourself on the other
you should
guy.
always keep in mind if your opponent is fading out. You should keep
Hmm.
that in mind. But I wouldn't go in there as my game plan to say, look, I'm going to make sure my opponent fades out. He could just be full of energy that one day,
But that's what
and
I'm saying. I get what you're saying, recognize. I get what you're saying that it shouldn't be the only thing. Like with the Deontay Wilder fans when they say, well, he's gonna knock Tyson Fury out, like they're banking on that knockout as the only way to win. But I'm
right.
not saying that Canelo has to go in there just hinging on the fact that Kovalev is gonna fade. But would it be fair to say that he is expecting Kovalev to fade? That's part of the plan, right? To wear him down. Supposedly he's weak to the body. Supposedly he's this old man that's gonna crumble. Aren't they expecting that a little bit?
Yeah. What you're
Yeah.
saying is that can't be his win condition.
Right.
He
Well,
can't
okay.
rely on that to win by.
Exactly.
But if it comes
Revolution.
up, he's got tactics he can apply. Oh shit, he's getting tired. I gotta put more pressure. But it can't be like, all right, first I get him tired,
Yeah,
then I
exactly.
beat
Yeah,
him. It's
yeah,
not
that's
gonna go
true.
that way.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying. Yeah.
That's what I meant. And to your point, of course, like BDA, to your point, when you go into a fight, you're kind of already thinking about like you go into a fight, whether it's a combat sport that you're competing in, or you're just in a fight. Period. What you're thinking about is, or at least you should be thinking about, is destroying the guy that's in front of you. Destroy your man, right?
Right.
That entails wearing him out sometimes. That entails, or maybe he's so easy to hit for you that you just want to end it with one shot or whatever, or you of course you want to smother that person, whatever it takes to win that fight. But at first it's got to present itself. You gotta see, because let's say if he went in there and said, I know what's going to happen, he's going to wear out, and then that's when I'm going to make my attack. And let's say he goes in there with that mentality and he's being patient, but he's being outworked.
Hmm.
And then what happens is, if he's not, where the plan didn't work out, now you're a little weird out, he's a little weird out, but you guys are even. You're behind the eight ball. So he's got to sort of go in there with the game plan of, let me see what I can get, and then work it from there. And if it makes him wear out, then I know how to execute a guy who's fading in front of me. I know how to execute that plan.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's like they have to see Canelo and Kovalev, how their styles mesh once they get into the ring, and how the ebbs and flows of the fight are going to play out. To where if maybe Canelo, he needs to do a little more than what he anticipated in his mind, to where it's not that easy. To where, man, he feels that he has to push the throttle a little more, because Kovalev is fleet-footed and is controlling the distance, is not allowing him to do his work. And if he starts getting it a little behind, that's when the frustration is going to set in, to where, maybe like BDA was saying, that Canelo thought that he could tire him out, but, when it's playing out, it's not as easy as he thought.
Yeah. One way to look at it, like for conversations like this, one thing I learned is like the actual difference definition-wise between strategy and tactics. So strategy is what you bring into the game going into it. This is what you're going to do before it even starts. Tactics refers to the things you do on the fly. So we understand Canelo has a strategy, and one of the things is the tactics. He's going to have tactics for if he sees Kovalev getting worn out. That can't be part of his strategy.
Right.
But he has to have the tools if the opportunity presents.
Well,
or if other things present themselves. You got to have different tactics.
Yeah,
the reason why what his strategy is going into it, I'm trying to think of.
Well, the reason why I brought up the body attack and the stamina is because it's one of the big narratives coming into this fight from both sides, and I have to assume that if so many people are talking about it, then Canelo probably and his team are probably expecting to bank a little bit on that, because here's a quote that I'm putting up here from Kovalev himself. He says, "We'll show on Saturday. That I can say right now all my plans for what I'm going to do. Jesus, what the hell is this written? Why to fight on Saturday if I explain it right now? I will try to show everything that I've worked on in my training camp, and will try to show this Saturday. I understand that he's going to go to the body, but it's difficult to show the height difference between him and me." Jesus, this quote is really disjointed. By the way, all I'm trying to illustrate here is that Kovalev is aware that Canelo is probably going to try to get inside and go to the body. So if he's going to try to keep Canelo on the outside and punish him with that jab, and maybe he's banking on the fact that he's going to wear Canelo down, just like he wore Anthony Yarde down with that jab of his. And also Eleider Alvarez, by the way, because I don't know if you guys recognize when we were showing those clips of Kovalev against Alvarez, the rematch, Alvarez looked fucking exhausted. Now, I know they were about the same age, but the fact is, Kovalev does feint himself. He feints, maybe not as much as Canelo, but he feints a lot. He throws different angles at you, different combinations, and that jab will really wear you down.
Sometimes feinting less is better, because it kind of throws off your fighter. If you start feinting a little too much, your fighter could pick up on what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Therefore, he starts timing you. Look. Boxers go into a fight when they train, right? They're training for a fighter. They're banking that their stamina is going to be better than yours. Their will to keep fighting is going to be better than yours. That's why I say, look, I don't get caught up on okay, if the body starts presenting itself, go for it, obviously, right? But that could work both ways. It's all about what he presents himself. Nobody ever brings up, how about Canelo going upstairs, slip the jab, and let off some combination upstairs? He's done that plenty of times with other fighters.
Mhm.
That's another way he can win a fight. You
That's
know,
true.
it's not necessarily the body. The body might not be there. I just get a little, when I hear mainstream boxing talks, talking points, it makes me like just a little suspect of how they're so sure the body is going to be the key to victory. Like
It's all cliche garbage, man. It's all just like this cliche bullshit that like everybody just repeats the same story. What's up, guys?
Why? What's up? Right out of the gate on that one.
Well, if you're not gonna fucking introduce me, what do you want me to do?
I was about to. I was trying to find an opening.
I'm not Cameron. I'm just gonna exactly. I'm not polite like the English are. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That time in Ecuador, it's turning you to a gorilla, man. What's the matter with you? Listen,
You're not.
It's better
You're
when
not
the
like
playlists jump in. They when they find their own spot, it's usually good. So let it ride, BDA.
you're not like you're not waiting for anybody to roll out the red carpet for you so you can come out like Willy Wonka.
I apologize.
That's okay.
No, no need.
But what do you make of this whole thing about the body shot? Are people putting too much stock in Canelo's body work here?
Of course they are. They're putting too much stock in Canelo. Period, man. The guy's not that good. He's a good fighter, don't get me wrong, but he ain't no special fighter, man. As far as, real quick, tactic, the plural of, because I was hearing you guys saying something, the plural of tactic is strategy, basically. Strategy is an amalgam of tactics, okay? Strategy is your whole game plan, basically. A tactic is any one specific part of the strategy.
Yeah, there you go. That was the gist of what I'm coming at.
Yeah,
you come into a game with strategy, and then if shit changes on the fly, you apply new tactics.
Yeah.
Basically, you have a plan, but it's got to be... Go ahead, that's all I just want to say.
No. Yeah, we're all right. Nobody's wrong here.
We're all right.
As far as like... Yeah, obviously we all know what Canelo's going to try to do, but Sergey is the better body puncher. He's the one that wears guys down to the body. I've seen Canelo knock bums out to the body. I've seen Canelo's body shots have effect on guys and slow them down a little bit, but I've never really seen Canelo break anybody down to the body, like to a point where he was able to stop them. I mean, okay, fair enough, fielding, but that guy was just a powder puff, man. Come on.
Yeah,
or Liam Smith, like these guys just couldn't take his power. It's not like he wore them down with prolonged body attack. They just couldn't take the power. Period. Sergey is the guy that wears people down to the body, especially these days. He's the better body puncher. He's broken ribs with body shots before. I mean, he broke Anthony Yard down to the body. That's why they were rubbing his chest in the corner, and his chest was hurting him. That's why he was huffing and puffing by the fourth round.
That's why he said, "Don't rub my chest so hard." Remember? I remember putting that up
because he was in pain. So I think Canelo's body work is overrated and Sergey's is underrated, and that's going to play a big part on stamina. And this whole idea that Sergey has poor stamina, look, the guy's never had great stamina, but it's like what BDA was saying, he read on some forum. He was loading up. He was loading up on his shots, trying to get everybody the fuck out of there. So obviously his stamina suffered. Now with Buddy, he's taking a lot of his shots. But look, his stamina didn't suffer against Bernard Hopkins. I'm not trying to give Buddy McGirt too much credit here, because when Sergey boxed, like he looked great. Right, he had enough in the tank for 12 rounds of continuous punching. So this whole idea of his stamina being poor is a little bit overrated by the fact that he got punched in the balls by a cheater in 2 different fights. It's a little bit overrated by the fact that he's never really had a good trainer. He's never been prepared properly for his fights. Now that everything is clicking, His stamina is not the greatest, but it ain't as bad as people painted. And it's Canelo who's going to have stamina problems because he's the little guy coming up in weight, putting on some weight. He's going to be carrying more weight than ever before. He's going to be wrestling around a little bit with a bigger guy. He's going to be taking punches of the bigger guy. If anybody's stamina is going to suffer in this fight, it's going to be Canelo, who's, we could all agree, has also had stamina problems in the past. So that's
Yes.
that's my take.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I was gonna
I
say,
agree with that. That he has like there's nobody questions Canelo's stamina issues when he's clearly had them in fights.
Yeah,
he,
I seen him come back strong in the Triple G fights from the 10 to the 12 to where maybe that's improved a little. And in the end, he has made it to the belt against these
Triple
guys.
G is
Even
37 years old, bro. That's a 37-year-old man. Like, that's embarrassing for him to be going toe to toe with the 37-year-old man when he's in his physical prime. That's poor stamina, bro.
Could that
yeah,
also be? Could that also be because we obviously know Canelo's much bigger than he was in his 154 days, or significantly bigger. I'm wondering if him now going to 175, where let's say he comes in on fight night 185. Um, is that going to be good for him? Like nobody questions these things, and this is the reason why I'm suspect of this whole fight and the narrative going in. If the narrative wasn't such that it's like it's these little talking points weren't so obvious, I would look at this fight and just say, look, man, this is a dangerous fight for Canelo, and it still is, and Canelo should be the one that's coming out of there with an L that night. And that's how I look at this fight because I look at these things that he's going up in weight, 2 weight classes where he's going to be bigger against a guy who's been fighting at that weight class his whole career, who's probably the best at that weight class of this decade. And like nobody seems to question, like, yo, Canelo could definitely lose this fight, but it's the more the narrative is Kovalev is old and he's gonna break him down, and I'm pretty confident of it. Like that's exactly what's gonna happen.
And
That's how.
another thing about stamina that I don't hear anybody really talking about. Granted, I haven't heard everybody speak, but Canelo's gonna have to sit on his punches to make Sergey respect his power. He's gonna have to load up on his punches, and if you look at his public training, that's exactly what he's doing. He's loading up on his shots. He's been working on power. He has to. He has to make this guy respect his power, which means that he can only throw so many punches, and he's going to be putting a lot of energy into these shots, meaning that he's not going to be able to last as long, right? Because that's exactly what happens with punches, whether it's Pascal, Sergey in his early days or Count. These guys load up on their shots. And when they load up on their shots, and Canelo's done this many times, even against Bunts, he swings wildly and he hits nothing but air. This guy, I can't imagine Canelo's stamina holding up against Sergey unless, and it's, he's just absolutely because of the rehydration clause. But if he's allowed to rehydrate to like 10 pounds, Canelo's the one who's going to be gassing. I don't care what anybody says. Like, it's just, for me, it's a logical conclusion. But maybe I'm wrong.
there's a video out there where they say that that's his business to what weight he comes in at fight night. Basically, what they're saying that there is no rehydration clause. I
Oh,
put
that's
that
what
on the
Canelo
Discord.
said. Did Canelo
Yeah.
say that?
That's a lie.
I don't
They
know.
said that what weight would I get an echo?
Look. Kovalev has come in. Somebody could correct me if I'm wrong. I think the highest was like 190, 192 maybe. He usually comes around. Okay, so he's 175. He usually comes into the ring 10. I want to say 10 to 12 pounds heavier than that. The 175 limit.
That's when he says he's at his best. He's coming heavier, but he doesn't like doing that.
He doesn't like doing that, right? He has come in heavier, so he doesn't like doing that, and that makes sense for his style of fighting. Again, I don't know what what the weight clause. I haven't heard anything. And then again, to be honest, I haven't really researched any of it. I haven't researched whether or not there is a clause in the rehydration rehydration weight. There's a clause in it. I have no idea, but
Yeah.
you know,
Go to this interview, record called Media Roundtable 22. That's where he talks about it.
But Gonzalo, that's Canelo saying it.
Well, they're asking
Why do you
and Canelo.
Yeah, but why do you trust them? Why do you trust that they're telling the truth?
No, wait a minute. Are you saying? But why wouldn't we trust Canelo though? Is it because he's a redhead? Precise? Is that what you're trying to get at here?
No. Because when they asked Kathy Duva, she said no comment.
Oh, really?
But that was like a month ago.
That's true.
Well, the contract was signed more than a month ago. What did he say exactly, Gonzalo? I heard it, but I don't remember exactly the wording. Tell me the wording exactly.
Yeah, let's get to the bottom of this.
Because the lady was translating over him, but this is what he said. They asked, so Canelo, what weight are you coming? And Canelo, he asked Chepo, and they crossed words, and they said, well, and he told the reporter, I'm going to come in around 180. Okay, 180. Mm-hmm. And they asked him, so what weight do you think Kovalev's coming in? And Canelo said about 190, 195. Then he asked Chepo, and they said, well, maybe about 190. But then Chepo said, that's his business.
Yeah, that doesn't. They didn't say there's no rehydration clause. They gave you their opinion on what they think he's going to weigh in the ring on fight night.
Yeah, I'm trying to find some videos. Videos. I'm trying to find out some proof of this. All I can find are YouTube videos stating that there is no rehydration clause, but I'm not seeing an actual source.
Yeah, but that's all a bunch of Canelo fanboys just running with the bullshit story.
That's
all he said is that it's his business what he comes in at. Look, the rehydration clause, he's going to have that second weigh-in a few hours before the fight. So yeah, it's completely conceivable that he's on fight night 190 if he wants to be. He doesn't want to be. The problem is he's going to have to stay at 180, whatever the hell is in the contract, all the way up to like 6 hours or 10 hours before the fight. That's the problem. What he's weighing on fight night is really irrelevant if he has to stay under a certain weight right before the fight. So he could drink a ton of water. He could have a gallon of water in his belly. That's not going to go into his cells. That's not going to go, in and around his brain. It's just going to be sitting in his gut.
All right, so hold on.
That's 8 pounds of water. So what? Who cares?
All right, so
right. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you're making
soft weight.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're making a lot of sense. But now here's the thing, though, because people in the chat room are saying, "Here comes Precise with the excuses." Are you gonna give Kovalev credit, or Canelo credit rather, if he beats Kovalev, or are you gonna say, "Well, he was dehydrated, Canelo was on roids"?
Well, I mean, for those people who are saying I'm making excuses, can they present us with a copy of the contract so that we know what it is exactly? Or maybe an official statement from somebody from Sergey's side so that we know how much he's... Look, he trained fielding, okay? He had a rehydration clause with Daniel Jacobs. He had a rehydration clause with fucking Bum Chavez Jr., but he's not going to have a rehydration clause with the most dangerous, biggest, best opponent he's ever fought.
Well,
am I a fucking idiot?
No, hold on. Let me get what's his McGregor, because I just got here. I don't know if he already got a word in, but McGregor, are you there?
Yes.
All right, thank you for being on. You're usually up on all these pre-fight archives and documentation. Can you tell us whether what are people saying about a rehydration clause? Is there any proof that there isn't a rehydration clause, or
there isn't any proof that there is or isn't? But based off of people can go off of the words of Canelo if they want to, but the words of Kathy Duva, which is very strong to me, is when asked about a rehydration clause by multiple people, she said no comment, which means she's not allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, because
that's exactly what that is, Mark. I, as a business person, you can sign a contract and you can put in just about any type of business. You can put on that contract between me and you. You are not allowed to talk about the details of this contract. Period.
Listen to
she's able to talk about what she's been able to talk about the catchway. She was able to talk about the glove stipulations, but she couldn't talk about a rehydration clause, which is very
I wonder why that is. and like to address all the dweebs talking about excuses, look, learn the difference between a reason and an excuse, okay? A reason Like there could be a reason if and this isn't going to be very difficult to tell if you've been watching boxing for more than a couple of days. If they get in that ring and Sergey is huffing and puffing by the fourth round and the fight wasn't even that difficult, then we all know what the deal is. That there's not going to be. I'm not going to need a confirmation from everybody. If he doesn't look as healthy as he did in his last fight, if he doesn't look as strong as he did in his last fight, you know, and he's in there with someone much smaller than Yard, who doesn't hit as hard as Yard, who can't take the kind of punches that Yard took, probably. I mean, it's not going to be rocket science to be able to figure out what's going on here. You know
That's
what
a
I
good.
mean? So learn the difference between a reason and a fucking excuse.
That's a
But
good
you know
point
as well
because
as I do, Precise, like these guys, they're gonna the fans, they're gonna go mad no matter what. Even if Canelo wins, no matter what it is, no matter what way it is, they're gonna come up with something. I've had people try to tell me that Beefy was a really skilled fighter.
These Canelo fans, man, they've rewritten history so many different times. I mean, now officially, according to them, Golovkin lost twice to Canelo.
wait,
Not
what?
only did he not get robbed in the first fight, he actually, it's on the record, he lost twice. I can't tell you how many Canelitas I've heard and seen say that Golovkin lost the first fight. I mean, come on, man.
Well, see, that's why I try to. Right now, I'm trying to do what you did a long time ago. You told me, you said what you used to do is you go on videos, other people's videos on YouTube, and if you find a stupid comment, one that's really really dumb, you block that person from your channel right away, preemptively. I'm starting to see that that's the only way really you can have a decent channel, because you try to be in utopia and then all of a sudden you let a bunch of insane people in here. But in regards to that, listen, this is a big fight, about as big fight as we can have in boxing right now. Like McGregor said, there's gonna be a lot of controversy. There's gonna be a lot of bitching from both sides. But here's the thing, though. Now you guys know I do respect Canelo. I give him credit. I do think he's a great fighter. But to precise his point, if he does start spanking Kovalev around, I have to wonder how good is this guy. I mean, look, I like Canelo. I respect his skills as a middleweight. I think he's going to be very hard to beat for anybody. But if he's going around at 175 and spanking Kovalev around, he's not that good to be doing that. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But it's that rehydration clause does have me scratching my head a little bit here about how much credit we can
I
give him.
mean, if it's an easier fight than Daniel Jacobs, come on, like we won't have to wonder what's going on, right? Like,
Exactly.
okay, let's be honest right now. What happens between Sergey and Daniel Jacobs? Knockout before the sixth round, probably at 175, obviously. What about Chavez Jr.? How many rounds does Chavez Jr. go with Kovalev? 2, 1. How about Rocky Fielding? Does he go 30 seconds with Sergey Kovalev?
No.
So you telling me this guy's gonna get in the ring and all of a sudden he's gonna be walking through Sergey and I'm supposed to think, oh no, it's everything's honky dory. That's what's supposed to happen. Fuck that. Come on, man. I'm not stupid.
Well, here's my question, though. Here's my question. Why did Kovalev gas against Yard in the middle rounds? Which is, it almost, I wouldn't say gas, though. I think that's a bad choice of words. Because he did get caught also. I think he got hit with a body shot and it took him some time to survive and recover. But it is true that most fighters who start out quick, they end up having to recatch their breath after the middle rounds. And that seems to be the graph on Kovalev. Is he starts out quick and then by the middle rounds he starts to fade a little bit. Is that the point at which Canelo is going to have to step it up, or is he going to have to fight hard 3 minutes of every round?
But if you remember that Yard fight, he came back with the vengeance. He like fell asleep for a moment, got hit to the body, and had a few rough moments, and then came back and absolutely destroyed him in the next round. So to say that he has some kind of like grave stamina problem, I don't see that as being the case anymore.
Well,
I
I'm
mean,
not saying it's grave, but
he came back and he must have thrown like 100 to 120 punches in that next round after he got hurt, because Buddy McGirt lit a fire under his ass and told him, if you don't get to work, I'm gonna stop the fight.
right.
So he went to work and he got his second win. And people were saying this guy is juiced. Where did he get his second win from? Like, what happened? Well, I mean, everybody gets tired, but
here's the point, Precise. Here's the point,
what's
though.
the point?
The point is that he does fade a little bit, like you said. It's not a big where he gets depleted and he can't catch his second win. But now we're talking about the rehydration clause and about whether he's going to be dehydrated coming into this fight. With that being said, maybe it's going to be a little bit harder to come back from and get his second win if he's dehydrated.
Well,
They
then
could.
yeah, then that'll give us a clue that he was drained
If he
because we've seen
suffers
him. Go ahead,
more
man.
so, if he's showing fatigue more than usual, right? Without the work being put in, then you're gonna know that he's dehydrated. That's what you're gonna know. Okay,
Against the smaller man, like this has
against the
to be
smaller
taken
man.
into. You know what I mean?
No, and you're
Like
100
this.
percent right. And the thing about Yard that I think people are missing here is Yard's a very big dude. He may not have great punching technique, but when you're big and muscle like that, and you're swinging pretty fast. Every time you get hit by that zaps you, bro. That puts you in your place. Like it may not knock you out unless you get caught somewhere where you can't, your body can't help it. You're gonna get your lights put out. Um, but when he touches you, Yard, he zaps something from you. When you're that built, that's what the built is there for.
It's
All right, but
concussive.
let me get
Right.
a question in here. Let me get a question in here then. Let's say then that Canelo starts fast and he's landing shots on Kovalev and he's landing those right hands to the body, that left hook to the liver, and then Kovalev can't get his second win because of those shots.
Well,
Are we gonna give that's the only way we can give him credit though? Then Canelo, if he starts out fast and he lands flush on Kovalev throughout the fight, and Kovalev gets worn down.
well, I don't. Okay, look, if that happens, I'll be pretty shocked. It's all about how it plays out. Look, I'm not gonna start saying how it's gonna play out and what I'm gonna think. The
Right.
whole thing that what I'm looking for in this fight is to see the how each fighter wins. That's the only thing that interests me about this fight is how is it that this guy's gonna pull it off. So let's say, like you said, if Canelo goes in there, works the body early, and he can't recover, it depends on how he does it, right? Does he catch him in the sweet spot where I see real pain coming out of Kovalev's face? Well, of course, I'm going to say, damn, he caught him with a great punch. My point is, if he's just getting weared out and there's not like this huge activity coming from, or this huge pressure coming from Canelo,
Mhm.
Working the body, and he's just fading out because he's throwing punches, then you're gonna know somewhat that this has to do with with his rehydration, right?
Right.
The claws or whatever, right? So look, a fight has to play itself out. What I don't like is this narrative of what to look for because that's what's going to happen. That's crazy for a guy who's coming up 2 weight classes to fight a light heavyweight. That's one. Okay. And if he's daring to be great, then you don't make daring to be great is fighting a dangerous fighter. Okay.
Mhm.
So you don't predict what you think is going to definitely happen in a fight. Like that's if you don't understand that, then you don't understand fighting.
Yeah, you're right.
That's it.
You're
You
right.
just don't understand fighting. Because daring to be great is like that guy might fuck you up, bro. Like just straight up. I tell you straight up, yo, that guy might fuck your ass up. I'm sitting
Yeah,
down with my boys, and he's telling me he's gonna fight this monster, and I tell him straight up to his face,
you
"You
should have
make one
started.
mistake, he's busting your ass."
You're
But
right, man.
like
Go ahead, precise.
to answer your question, BDA, like yeah, if Canelo comes out and starts beating his body like a drum from round one, I expect him to break Sergey down and stop him if he's able to do that. No problems, right? Like cause and effect.
Right.
Yeah,
Obviously. However, people are over exaggerating. I'm not saying Sergey is the strongest guy when it comes to the body because most of these tall, lanky guys are not. However, people are exaggerating how weak to the body he is because if you actually watch these fights and you watch the Yard fight, Yard was going to his body from round one all the way to that moment in the eighth or the ninth, whenever that was, that he hurt him. He was going to the body all night. Um,
Facts.
Eleider Alvarez was going to the body all night. He couldn't break him down. And Yard, because he's huge, because he was able to walk through these punches, was able to get to his body, and he finally hurt Sergey to the body. But it took 8 or 9 rounds of him going to the body. So if Canelo comes out and lands like 3 to 4 body punches like he did against Daniel Jacobs, and he's breaking him down with that bullshit, then we know what the deal is, right?
Right.
No one can tell me that Canelo hits harder than Anthony Yard. I'm
no
sorry.
way. It's
No
not
fucking
physically
way.
possible. It's not
Well,
physical. he might have better punching technique, but he doesn't hit harder than Yard.
But
Serious
everybody has
question.
good punch technique to the body. Everybody. Go
Well,
ahead.
let
Serious
me
Because it's
question.
the easiest part to hit
well let me
somebody.
let me say something
Serious
here.
question.
Let me
How many
hold on.
rounds does Beefy? How many rounds does Beefy go with fucking Yard? 2.
Who's this?
Come on, man. 2 minutes.
Liam
Don't-
Smith. Beefy.
He doesn't
How
go
many
one
rounds
round.
does he go
Doesn't
with
go
Anthony?
one round, probably. He doesn't even go
Whenever
one.
Yard wants to knock him out, he knocks him out, basically.
Well, listen, hold on. The reason why I brought up the body shots is because I'm just asking, what does Canelo have to do to get a clean win, clean slate, and after this fight, and for people to say, all right, this guy did something incredible, moving up from middleweight and taking, winning against Kovalev. The other thing
He
is, check
can't.
out.
He can't. He can't get no credit.
Okay, well, hold on. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that because
No,
we
you
got.
credit and win is different.
Oh,
I think the best thing, this is boxing 101, when you're the smaller guy, is to take away. You don't want to be at the end of those jabs or those long punches. You want to cut the distance. You want to, if you're a good counter puncher, which Canelo is, try to counter punch him off the jab. Try to take his jab away. That's what you do to win a fight. Gonzalo, the problem I have is automatic. Go to the body. Like, then
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but
never had a
it's
fight
a
in your life.
foregone
If you think,
conclusion. He's a shitbag. He's a cheater. Nobody respects him. He's not in the top 25 of the Mexicans.
no, listen,
He can't get no credit. There's
I'm not
nothing that
going by
anybody
that.
can say until the
I'm
fight
not
plays
going.
out.
I'm not going by that. I think Canelo's a very good fighter. Here's my problem. When you listen, I've been watching boxing too, and when the American media, the mainstream media, is just painting this narrative as if don't watch the fight because this is what's going to happen. Okay, I'm suspect of that. Okay, and this is a guy who's gotten very questionable decisions and have done questionable tactics in the ring. So, look,
you know what?
he's capable of winning, but don't automatically bank on the body. That's telling me the script is written out. Okay,
Yeah.
and I'm not supposed to like pick up on that. Yeah, the body shot, because Canelo is just one hell of a body shot. You know that body shot that Canelo did? Which one? I don't know, but the body shot. You know what I'm talking about, right? That body shot. Yeah, that body shot's gonna definitely win the fight. Who against?
All right, but you know what?
Rocky Fielding.
Let's get
Oh,
let's
that
get.
one.
Hold on.
That
Let's.
one.
All right,
Rocky
recognize.
Fielding.
I get your point, man. I want to get back to that and to the whole thing about whether this, the judges and the referee. We still have to get to that, but before we do that, I want to let McGregor say something. Then we got Jimmy, who's been waiting for a while here. He came on. So, McGregor, you want to add something before we get to Jimmy?
No, let Jimmy go. I'll just drop a link though that I want you to check out. It's Ring Magazine's picks on the fight.
Oh,
Kind of
okay.
tells me the fight isn't really even. 20 picks.
All right, we're gonna check that out. Yeah, because I'm interested. I'm always interested in seeing the ratio of people that are picking one guy over the other. And Errol Spence, Crawford. I mean, Errol Spence versus Sean Porter. Most of the people in Ring Magazine, they were all picking Errol Spence. Very few people gave him credit. Sean Porter his due. We did though. We got to give ourselves credit. We knew it was going to be a harder fight than expected. Anyway, Jimmy, are you there?
Yeah, what's going on, brother? Can you guys
Hey.
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thanks for
Is
being
it
on,
shitty
man.
though?
No, we can hear you well. We can hear you very well.
I can't hear you, Jimmy. Did you say
he's
something?
fucking.
You fucker.
Hey, Jimmy,
Loud and
listen.
clear, Jimmy. Loud and clear.
Jimmy,
That's cool though.
as you can hear here, we're having a little bit of a disagreement about how we can give Canelo credit for this fight. Recognize makes a very good point about how people are expecting Canelo to break Kovalev down with a body work or body attack that he says is really non-existent against a guy like Kovalev. But I got to ask you first, before we get to the actual fight and the inside elements in the ring, I wanted to ask you about this article that came out on Fight Week, of all times, where they're talking about the rift between Canelo and De La Hoya. Now, you mentioned this months ago, that this was already in the works, that people were aware that there was some strife between both of those guys. Have you caught wind of this article, and what do you make of it?
I haven't read the article. Somebody sent it to me. I saw it. I just haven't read it yet. Well, through things I've heard, and then you just take this. Put yourself in Canelo. He's a name brand, right? His name is associated to making millions of dollars. The guy at the head of his corporation is fucking getting sexual lawsuits, is showing up places fucking drunk. He's already been in rehab. Once you go into rehab and you do the whole 30-day. Listen, you've stated I have a problem. I have lost my ability to potty in safety. I have gone from use to abuse to addiction. So every time he starts partying, it's an addict. And right now, as an addict at the head of his company, his future is in hands right now, partially of an addict. The signing with the DAZN didn't fucking help, obviously. But he's still marching to his own drummer. But a lot of that stems from, the same thing that a lot of people pissed at him about. Listen, now I'm hearing rumors that don't be surprised if that company gets sold.
Oh,
That's what I heard recently. Yeah, no, fucking him selling the company or, because put it this way, if you were a father and you had a kid who's even Olympic hopeful, you're looking at the landscape, you say, who do I want my boy to sign with? You're going to sign with fucking a dude who's in the paper, shit face, getting popped with DWEs, who's already been in rehab.
but wait,
there's
I gotta
issues
ask
there.
you.
So
I gotta ask you, when did De La Hoya show up drunk at a public function? Like I missed that.
oh well, he was at one of the fights last year. I mean, he was drinking with his taking photos, and he had a beer in his hand. And then Mario Lopez was 2 weeks ago. He was like, yeah, fucking, telling how over the weekend he had Oscar came by and they pounded down a bottle of fucking tequila, and they were blind drunk. And I'm like, man, like little self-awareness, dude. Don't you know your boy's a fucking fall down addict, man? And listen, the thing is, right? Once you're an addict, like when you go back to partying, you don't use. He was a known cokehead and an alcoholic. So once you go into the coke, man, the alcohol is the secondary. That's the stuff to keep your heart from blowing out of your chest. Believe me, he's banging back gaggers. He's not just getting drunk. He does coke, and the alcohol's landing gear. I wouldn't be surprised if he's messing with Valiums and other shit to try to get to sleep. But without a doubt, if he's drinking, he's doing both too. So he's a mess. He's a
That's the
fucking
thing about
mess.
De La Hoya. He does look. I was watching the last press conference they did today between Canelo and Kovalev, and De La Hoya was in the background. He looks bloated, man. Is that alcohol?
Oh
Or is
yeah,
that?
water retention, alcohol, and fucking cocaine, man. Sponge your ass up nicely. Heroin gives you that great chalky look, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
cocaine gives you that bloat. Yeah, no, he's a mess. And if he don't smarten up, he's gonna lose the whole company. I mean, it's being held
Jeez.
together right now with Eric, but he's got the personality of a fucking executioner. You know what I mean? He says stupid shit. So I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, that's sad to
Troubled
hear, man.
waters.
That's sad to hear, man. To hear, because I was asking Bucho about that. Actually, I asked a question here too in the beginning of the podcast to recognize and the other guys and like Luciano and Gonzalez. Is De La Hoya really at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to guys like Eddie Hearn, Al Heyman, Bob Arum? Because I mean, those guys, it seems like they've been looking to promote as their main job, whereas De La Hoya only really got into this after during the latter part of his boxing career. I mean, how shrewd is he, and can he compete with some of these snakes, or is he just gonna get bamboozled, especially with that alcohol problem he's got, or drug addiction too?
Well, he knows his way around the game, but it's when you're under the influence, man. It's and he's using them sure every day. I'm sure even when you don't see him drunk, he's doing coke. So he's a mess. So he's got to either check his ass in and try to get back out, because no, he's shrewd. He knows the boxing game. He's been in it since he was a kid. He's made all the connections. Because you guys, I don't know if there's only a few of you guys probably old enough to. Do you guys remember him in his heyday? Like he was the Golden Boy. This.
I remember it.
Yeah,
I
you know what I mean.
remember
Like
it.
he still that name carried weight in the industry. You know what I mean? He was over
Hey, Jimmy,
everything.
Jimmy, I could
Yes.
remember him from the beginning of his career.
Yeah.
Oscar De La Hoya, when he was fighting at 130. I can remember those fights that he had.
Dude, people called it back then. I remember people saying this kid's a recipe for drug addict. Mother dies at a young age, instant trauma, right? This is his fucking post-traumatic he's going to deal with. Then he's fighting for his father's affection. All he wanted his father to say, dude, I'm proud of you. His father wouldn't say it. Win gold medals, like crazy. So like that was all. So right now it starts off, partying like everything else, but then you use it to stop the fucking voices in your head.
And I believe,
you
honestly,
know.
Oscar De La Hoya was better than what he could have been better than what he turned out to be. Because you can see in his body shape, especially when he went up in weight, that De La Hoya was not taking training seriously, and he was still
Oh,
good
he had a
enough.
predilection for the fucking girls too, the young girls, man. Remember he
Yeah,
was bang. He got some fucking like 14-year-old pregnant
dude, if
when he
he
was
would
like
have not wore out, he would have beat Trinidad, and I love Trinidad. That's one of my favorite fighters of all time. He would have beat Trinidad so easy had he not had stamina issues. Going into that fight, he was already starting to show some signs of a little stamina issue. That could be the weight gain, not the weight gain because he was always fucking 157 pounds. He was, he was young enough to drain himself to like 135, and he could do that because of his age. But you could see that there was a lot of partying going on. He had a lot of girls showing up. I remember he was the star of boxing on HBO. They would follow him. He had a fight with a guy named Patrick Charpentier or something like that. He was a Frenchman. He fought in San Antonio, Texas. These girls, a lot of them were Mexican girls, fucking hot. They were like the best looking girls out there, maybe. And they were all over him. And he was young. Of course, he liked that shit. Who doesn't? But he he was already showing signs to me then that this is a guy that's probably partying. He could get away with it somewhat. Then you start losing control of it because he was making a whole lot of money back then. And I think because of his performances that had to do with stamina issues, not because he's not skilled, because of his stamina issue, robbed him. I think he would have beat Trinidad more convincing, and they would have had to give him the fight. I think he would have beat Shane Mosley. I think he would have more convincing, and they would have had to give him the. He probably could knock out Ike Corte, as good as Ike Corte was. Had he not been, if he just been all boxing, just I'm gonna train my ass off, to get my maximum performance. If he brings in his maximum, he probably beats all those dudes I just mentioned. And we're talking about him as one of the greatest welterweights, and I still think he's a top welterweight of all time.
You know what his other problem was? He never really developed he never stuck with one particular style. He was always switching between trainers, kind of like Amir Khan. But at least Amir Khan knows which side of his bread is buttered. He knows he has to get a stick and move.
Because he was that good, BDA.
But that's what I'm. But
that's
yeah, but see, that's the thing. Too much talent and not enough. Nobody really reined him in. He was always trying. Remember, he was with what's his name, Suarez, I think it was the guy with the mustache, and then
Suarez,
he got. Yeah, I think that was his name. And then he got El Maestrito, the guy who used to train Miguel Canto. Then he ditched him for Emilio Stewart. Then he went from Emilio Stewart to Gil Clancy, and then from Gil Clancy to Mayweather Sr. And even in the Pacquiao fight, he switched all of that up and hired Angelo Dundee and Nacho Berenstein. It's like he never really stuck to one particular style. So that was also his main problem. Is he should have just stuck to. If he would have had one trainer for and stuck it out, he could have been better.
He didn't want to give up so he would blame bad performance on his trainers, not look at really himself.
Exactly.
Because Oscar De La Hoya was so good that I don't think he just needed a decent trainer. Basically, he needed a decent trainer. He just didn't want to. He didn't want to, like every young man goes through. They don't want to look at themselves and say, "What did they do?" You know what I'm saying? What did I do that caused me to lose my endurance and lose my way in the fight? It's like a lot of that times, if you look at Oscar's fight, if you really go back, you can see, like, you can say this dude is not really training as good as he could if he wanted to. He's getting away with it because he's very talented.
Absolutely, yeah, he was very talented, and that left hook, my goodness gracious, it pulled him out of.
He was a lefty, and he used to fight orthodox.
Right.
And he knew how to use, to use that fucking that right hand as a power shot too. He was deadly. The dude was, he was a weapon.
Yeah, that's right. De La Hoya he's a southpaw converted into a right-hander.
Yeah. A lot of boxers do that. A lot of boxers do that. They try to find that. Like, it's funny. Like, I'm a righty. I feel more comfortable fighting southpaw. I like that positioning. It's something that certain guys are used to. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got Danny Garcia, another a natural lefty. He's not comfortable fighting in the style. He probably can't make. He probably can't hold his ground as good as he could as a righty. You know.
And by the way, in the chat room, Pete says, I gave him a boxing lesson. A boxing lesson. He's talking about that's De La Hoya after the Trinidad fight where he was bitching to the camera.
Right. He
But,
did in the
well,
first
he
8
did,
rounds.
yeah.
He definitely did.
Hey, listen, Bucho did that show there. He did that show that was because it was the 20th anniversary of De La Hoya Trinidad this September, and we talked a little bit about that. We should rewatch that fight and just score it. And that's the other thing. Now that we got everybody here, well, almost everybody, we're doing this whole thing now where we're not watching fights through Rabbit. We're doing it through the Discord. So what we do is I have a bunch of clips cut up. And what I do is I turn on the screen sharing thing and I can actually screen share what I'm watching on my desktop, all the clips that I've got in my editing video software. And I'll show you the clips. And that's what essentially we did with Recognize and Gypsy and Bucho, where we watched clips of Canelo versus Jacobs, his strong points, his weak points, and the same thing with Kovalev. And then we tried to figure out how the fight is going to go. So we got to do that for Joshua Ruiz, the rematch. And then we'll chop that up and we'll post it on BDA Live. But going back to the what am I saying? Oh yeah, so De La Hoya. So here's my question to you guys. De La Hoya, it seems like like Jimmy said, he's got a whole bunch of problems. Who's gonna, if anybody's gonna sweep Canelo? Is it gonna be Eddie Hearn? Are they gonna be dealing with the zone exclusively and Sean Golden Boy out of the picture? Does Al Heyman want a piece of Canelo? Bob, like, what do you guys think?
Canelo will take Canelo.
Boxing is life promotion.
Wait, what?
He's not gonna have a promoter. He's got a contract with DAZN. He doesn't need Golden Boy or anything.
Yeah. Isn't that his slogan? Boxing is life. Doesn't he have like a?
Yeah, no boxing, no life.
No boxing, no life. Yeah. Boxing.
Yeah, but the thing, he just needs to surround himself with people that speak English, not like that translator where everything gets lost in connotation. Real people that are gonna tell him the truth.
Doesn't need a translator, man. He speaks English.
Yo, that lady, that's the best translator I've ever heard, man.
Oh yeah, who's that Canelo corrector? He corrects
out of the 3 he's had, yes.
Precise. You're being sarcastic, right?
No, like she's the best. Like it was kind of annoying how she was talking over him, but like she was good. I thought.
She was
perfect translation, man. And she was snappy too.
Not perfect because she don't even know how to call she don't even know how to call a round, and like the boxing terminology, she doesn't know how to translate.
Gonzalo, it's not the point. Like she got the point across perfectly, just because she got some words incorrect. I mean, you've had these translators, and most notoriously these Cuban ones with Caribe promotions, and like Rigondia would say something, and the translator would say something completely different. Like it wasn't. You know, so like
dictatorship just runs in their blood and shit.
Yeah, interpreting is difficult. Like I thought she was very good. Like I'm not saying she got everything verbatim. You're not supposed to do that. That's why it's called interpreting. You're interpreting what they're saying. You're supposed to get the point across with as few words as possible, basically.
She was doing it on the fly too.
Yeah, she was great, man.
Well, she's better than that matchmaker guy, because that guy, man, he looks like he's got a stick up his ass, and every time he
Eric Gomez, yeah.
Oh, you mean
the other guy with the beard?
Yeah, that's Gomez, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. The other dude with the gray in his beard. I don't know his name.
That's right.
I know
Yeah, there's 2 guys in that Golden Boy promotion organization, Eric Gomez and some other dude, and they all look bloated. I think they're drinking with De La Hoya. Speaking on what Jimmy was saying, I think they all go out together and pound down a few chelas, and then they just go to town, man. They need to cut that shit out. Listen, if you want to drink hard, cold, cool liquor. It's a little vodka, tequila. Don't go for the beer. That's just going to ruin you.
What's chela? Is that a michelada? That's a short for michelada?
No, chela is for, well, I don't know what it's short for. But you can say chela, pistos.
What is chela?
Basically, chela is a chilled beer. It means cold beer.
Oh,
yeah,
it's just a cold beer. Okay, I thought you took a michelada. Okay.
Or pistos. You know, you can
down a few pistos. It's a short for cervezas.
Ah, there you go.
Got you.
I say chelitas.
That's because you're Puerto Rican, man. Come on.
That's right. Puerto Ricans, we say it different.
Viva Puerto
Puerto Rican
Rico,
say
viva
shit
Puerto
like
Rico.
Parco El Caro and shit.
What? All right, so listen.
Yeah, we got a Parco El Caro.
Basically, that means it's a cold beer, a chela, a chill beer, chela.
By the way, I wanted to ask you guys something here that they asked Chepo Reynoso about
I thought you said
Kovalev.
El Chapo.
No, El Chapo. They asked him about the light heavyweight
He held
division,
a
and
fucking seance or something?
nah. He says that Kovalev is better than Beterbiev.
In
They
terms
asked him
of boxing technique, probably is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a better boxer than Beterbiev, but at this stage of his career, Beterbiev had lit his ass up.
I think that there would have been a nice fight. Maybe the one that fought Andre Ward, the first fight, that would have been a nice fight. Although, Beterbiev he could get dirty.
Yeah, man. That's
It
why.
still could be a good fight. I get a lot of echo.
Yeah, that's
You guys
coming
hear
from
echo?
Precise, man.
Hold up.
Precise. I
You
don't know
gotta,
what you
yeah,
do.
you gotta put your just mic on mute. Revolution.
And it's. I think it's Precise that the echo. Yeah, the echo's coming
Why
from
would there
Precise.
be an echo coming from me when I have my headphones in?
I don't know, man. Hold on. See, there he goes. It's not there anymore.
The ways of Discord.
It's the ways of Discord.
it-
That's right.
Is it there again?
Let me see. Yeah,
Hello.
Yeah, a little bit. A little
Okay.
bit.
yeah, it's there.
Okay, it's good now. I was just gonna say it could still be a good fight because Kovalev's got a good sense of distance to where he's got good straight punches. If he can stay on the outside from Beterbiev, Beterbiev's been knocked down before to where it's Kovalev's got power. It still could be a good fight.
I guess we're gonna find out, aren't we?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you guys think Canelo has a rematch clause?
Ooh.
Probably does.
But he said no clauses. Isn't that what he said?
Maybe he has a wink clause.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you beat me, I get that rematch. You get X amount of money. And Kovalev's like, oh yeah, sure.
And by the way, in the chat room, Boogie Woogie is calling Buddy McDirt. Now, I don't appreciate that type of wordplay. Let me tell you that much right now. We respect boxing trainers here.
Wow.
McDirty.
McDirt. I was gonna ask.
Racist.
Dirt McGirt.
Yeah.
Racist.
Okay. How is that racist? But
Because I said it is.
Yeah. When I say you're racist, you're racist.
Hey, speaking of our favorite. Yeah, I don't. Precise. There's echo on you. When I speak, I hear myself on your end. I don't know what's going on. Maybe if you.
Well, then don't speak.
Hey, now
Just
wait a
kidding.
minute.
I'm
Now,
gonna mute. I'm gonna mute. Okay, go ahead.
you're getting very sassy today, Precise. No, but maybe if you log out and log in out of the chat room.
No, he's fine. I know what the problem is. Go ahead.
All right. I wanted to say our favorite, one of our favorite personalities, and that is, I'm not talking about Ryan Garcia. I'm talking about Max Kellerman. I told you guys that he is getting a little bit of trouble. Hold on. He got in a little bit of trouble because he said after the Gvozdyk Beterbiev fight, right afterwards, he said that Gvozdyk quit. Well, now apparently he went on his show. He's got some sort of sports channel or on ESPN, some sports show where he talks about.
Yeah, he does a show. Yep.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
apparently people are telling me he talks about sports and about subverting cultures.
Yeah, he talks
and
about all sports. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, he's pulled back a little bit now. He's saying that, well, I didn't mean to say quit. I meant to say maybe another word. And it does bring up a good issue here because I'm the type of guy that believes in freedom of speech. I don't think I think words only have as much power as you give them. So if you say quit, that's because the connotation that it has now in the boxing world is that, oh, if a guy quit means he didn't give it his all. He didn't give it 100%. But we know that Gvozdyk did try his best because he kept getting up. So if you look at it from that point, quitting, you could mean, hey, listen, he just couldn't go on anymore and he decided to stop at that point. Doesn't mean that he was...
Well, the referee stopped the fight, from what I remember, right? The referee
Exactly,
stopped.
yeah.
Okay, so
You know what?
Go ahead.
No, people are too fucking sensitive when it comes to words. But at the same time, Max Kellerman could have been a little smarter, and instead of saying that the guy quit, he should have given Beterbiev credit and said that he beat the fight out of him. It would have meant the same thing, but it would have given the other guy credit, and he was just being a negative Nancy. Let me use a phrase that's been thrown around lately. It's it's just it's just like he was crass. He wasn't very sensitive. He just did a poor job as a commentator. There's a way to communicate what happened in that fight without diminishing Gvozdyk, because he did give it his best and he did quit, and it was a great fucking idea to quit because there were at least 3 guys in the last year that should have fucking quit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you know what's bad about that? You know what's bad about that, if I can say real quick? Because he's training with Teddy Atlas, and Teddy Atlas has been known to speak about that, about quitting and how it doesn't bode well with him. So it's kind of like it's a knock on him and on Teddy Atlas as well, because Teddy Atlas ain't gonna find that too amusing.
Teddy Atlas is toxic.
Yeah.
Teddy
I was
Atlas
just gonna
is
say
toxic.
his body quit, his heart didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that could happen to you too. Your body could quit, and your
He
brain
got
is like,
beaten to a pulp, man, legally and illegally.
He wasn't winning that fight. Like, why continue? Like, I know we're
yeah.
all savages, but come on, man, have some mercy on the guy. Like,
The dude wasn't exactly. He wasn't gonna
he
win that
wasn't
fight.
winning the fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my
I
thing.
don't care what the scorecard said. It looked really bad for him going into like 10th round.
But these are the same people, right? Who, if this guy had carried on, right, and kept getting hit in the back of the head and kept getting hit. Now, he was concussed. Another round of that with Beterbiev, because he had to check in the hospital for 2 days. He could have had a bleed on the brain. They're the same people who would have said his corner should have pulled him out or the referee should have stopped it, and they're inept.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Listen, and the reason why Max Kellerman has to apologize, he comes from that cancel culture world where you got to be careful. He preaches, you're a bad person for saying things, even if it's factual. Okay, even if I'm telling the truth. So he has to apologize because he put himself in that. I'm gonna steal a word from Stu. That fluffy world that if you offend somebody word wise, it's almost like committing assault.
Right.
Okay, so he comes from that world. So fuck him. He should apologize because he promotes that, and if he ever gets burned by that same ideology, good for him.
And they burn that fluffy world. When you enter it, it's quick. They will fucking chew you up and spit you out just as quick as you did everybody else, man. They eat each other up.
And I hope he does. I hope one day he makes a mistake and they kill him. Not literally, but I don't mean literally. I mean like kill his career.
Yeah, because listen, you got to be careful to recognize it already happened to one brother. You don't want to be saying that about the other, all right?
Well, I almost forgot about what happened.
Yeah, you didn't mean that literally, and I wasn't really laughing.
Yeah, yeah, you weren't really laughing.
Just
Yeah, we're playing
tongue so nice.
We're playing a sound effect.
Like personally, like I don't know. Think of Teddy Atlas. I'm not saying he's not a good trainer and he doesn't give sound advice. Obviously, he's a Hall of Famer. What do I know? But when he's telling a guy in the 10th round, okay, he's up ahead on the scorecards, but then he's saying this is what champions are made of. You pretty much know what Teddy Atlas is about and what he's going to say. Can that be frustrating for a fighter to hear? You're supposed to dig deep, and with all his antics, Teddy Atlas.
You know what?
What do you guys think?
You know what? I think people should have been criticizing Teddy Atlas. I personally thought he should have stopped the fight. I believe in the 10th round, the round before the fight ended. Look, Gvozdyk was able to hit him with his best punch, and it stunned him a little bit, but it didn't really do too much, and Beterbiev was able to walk through that shit. By the time the 10th round rolled around, this guy had very little left. It didn't matter what he hit him with, he wasn't going to be able to stop him. I thought Teddy Atlas failed by not stopping that fucking fight in the 10th round. That's just my opinion.
Can we think of a time when he did stop a fight?
I don't know.
I don't know, but I know that Teddy, in my opinion, he's toxic. He should not. No, this guy he's not effective. He sometimes he'll give you instructions that have nothing to do with the fight. It's like he's like he's the guy that starts the pep rally, that kind of thing. Like, to me, look, maybe I'm a little biased. I think Teddy Atlas is a toxic person, and he should be. And I wouldn't come near him as a boxer of Gvozdyk's level. Like, I wouldn't go near a guy like that.
You know what? You bring up a good point because I don't know if you guys remember the broadcast that finally got him kicked off of his position as a commentator on ESPN, which what a coincidence, Berterbiev's fight against that German dude, the guy that looked like an SS officer, and he and Teddy Atlas and the other dude, I forget the other guy's name, the other commentator. He kept Teddy Atlas
Greg
kept.
Papa.
No, it wasn't Greg Papa. It was the other dude. I think it's a writer. He Teddy Atlas was bitching on the guy every time the other guy said something. Teddy Atlas would say something, either
Oh,
passive
yes, I
aggressive
remember
or
that.
remember that, and that was finally his last fight. And whoops! All of a sudden, he disappeared from the commentating position. He was just being a cunt on that telecast. And if you watch his podcast, Teddy Atlas's podcast, you can tell his co-host is terrified of doing a podcast with a maniac. This guy, Teddy Atlas, will just come up with these weird metaphors that he thinks are genius, and he'll like,
Someone breathing heavy.
yeah, somebody's breathing into the microphone like a fat guy. What's going on? He'll come up with this. All right, stop it, Jesus. I shouldn't have said the Lord's name in vain. Anyway, make a long story short. You're right. Teddy Atlas does him. And by the way, did you guys see the clip? Not Teddy Gravano. the bull, Sammy the Bull Gravano.
Teddy
Sammy
Gravano.
Yeah. Sammy the Bull Gravano did an interview. I think he just got out of the joint again, and he did an interview, and he was talking. They asked him about Teddy Atlas because a long time ago Gravano did a special in-depth interview with 2020, I think, or Deadline, and they interviewed also Teddy Atlas because Gravano used to go to the gym in New York. By the way, for those of you that don't know listening, Sammy Gravano was a hitman in the Italian mafia back in the 70s and 80s. And he used to train in the gym, and Teddy Atlas was there. And Teddy Atlas once was talking about fear in the gym, about how to control fear. And Gravano supposedly said, according to Teddy Atlas, "Oh, what do you mean being afraid? I'm not afraid." And Teddy Atlas sort of intimated that he was posing. He was a poser by saying that. Well, Gravano did an interview a couple of weeks ago, and he called Teddy Atlas a bitch. Recognize and Gypsy, we saw that clip. Yeah, we saw that clip.
I thought it was great. I thought he was spot on. Look, Sammy the Bull Gravano is a monster, and he deserves to die a horrible life. He killed lots of people. Now, look, remember, he killed people that were part of a world where that was part of the deal, right?
Right.
So I don't feel bad for the people he killed either. Okay, they were killers, a lot of them, and they were, sort of the bottom of the barrel of society. But what he's saying is that, look, he was saying the same thing that I think about Teddy, and I've been feeling for a while. He's a piece of shit. Teddy Atlas is a piece of shit. And let me explain to you what I mean by a piece of shit, okay?
Please.
He went on a rant and rave about Triple G getting robbed by when he fought Canelo, the first fight. And I think he thought he won the second fight. I don't think he made so much of a big deal. And I get it. He made a big deal about Manny Pacquiao losing to Jeff Horn on the scorecards. And he had every right to. He said he didn't say a fucking word about Andre Ward. First fight win over Sergey Kovalev. Kovalev beat Andre Ward better than Triple G did Canelo. Okay, he didn't say nothing about the low blow stoppage that was obvious with anybody with a pair of fucking eyes. So fuck him. He is toxic. He's a piece of shit. And he's lucky that Sammy the Bull Gravano is not younger, and he would have pissed him off because he probably would have at least need surgery coming out of the hospital.
Jeez,
and didn't also recognize ever since when back in the day when Tyson was 16 and he threatened him and his uncle, he always had a complex of being like a gangster.
Look, he had that tough guy attitude. I'm sure he chilled with mob members and stuff like that. I'm not gonna fault him too much for that. Look, what happened with Mike Tyson, if it's true that supposedly he harassed her or he slept with her, whatever the case may be, I'm not gonna fault him for that because I know a lot of guys that would do the same thing, and maybe had he done that with the wrong guy, Mike Tyson would have did that to the wrong guy's daughter or niece, he wouldn't be here today, So I'm not going to fault him too much for that. So, yeah.
Jimmy, what do you make of this and Teddy Atlas? Do you think he's good for certain fighters, or recognize he's saying, is he a toxic personality that no fighter should?
I would say amateur. As a pro, man, that fucking ricka-racka firecrowd bullshit. You know what I mean? You don't need to hear that. You know what I mean? Like, if you tell them what they need to hear. He was doing that for sound bites. That's the problem. You know what I mean? Once you got a taste of that fucking announcer fame, and then by nature, he's a passive-aggressive dude. He's always angry. Just, you know what I mean? He's always that dude in the room who's going to think the opposite of everybody in the room just because he's just angry. And that's fucking Teddy. I always had issues with him.
Jimmy, there's some distortion coming from your end. If you could just maybe just
All right.
jump out and jump back in, just
All
jump
right,
out,
brother.
just 2 seconds, yeah, please. Yeah, I don't know what's going with Discord. I gotta tell you though, Discord it's much better than Hangouts though, because remember Hangouts, everybody would drop every 20 minutes or 10 minutes, and
I love
the,
Discord, man. I wish I had a good experience on StreamYard. It seems the easiest, but I get kicked off. And I thought it was just my phone, but it was also like my laptop, my tablet,
right.
just about everything.
Well, it's
I
interesting.
think Jimmy. Sorry, I just think Jimmy needs to use a different device because he bought some headphones, and I don't think that's it. 'Cause something's happening with him.
Yeah, when I use my wireless, when I would use my wire, especially on Hangout, when I would use my wireless, my AirPods, right, for my phone, it would get a lot of interference, man, a lot of it. Could be where I'm at. I live by the beach, so it could be that too.
Well, there you go, man. I mean, I think Jimmy did say he just got a new phone, so maybe it's.
But going back to Teddy, man, look, again, maybe I was over exaggerating. I wouldn't personally want a guy like that training. I wouldn't want a guy like that if one of my boys were like, I want to be a boxer. You got some connections with a trainer. It wouldn't be Teddy. That's for sure.
Right. I agree, man, and I think Jimmy was about to make that point when he said that it seems like he does it more for the sound bites, more than anything else, more than to
because he's into himself, and to a certain extent, there's nothing wrong, like digging yourself a little bit, but don't do it to the detriment of a fighter. Don't do it to like degrade somebody else because you're gonna offend somebody. I'm telling you, I saw that Sammy the Bull interview. I never heard about this incident. Sammy the Bull was a little bit younger. That boy would be in some trouble with that kind of anger. When a guy says "fuck him," he's a pussy, and he's killed before. Oh yeah. You better watch your words. You better articulate what you have to say in a well understandable manner. Those guys offend very easily. Very easily.
Yeah,
and
listen, it's
when
never
you
a good.
offend them.
It's never a good idea to
usually
piss
bad.
off. It's never a good idea to piss off the mob hitman. I mean, I think that's just page one of Humanity 101. But yeah, Teddy, and especially since they run in the same circles more or less. New York, they share a gym together. He probably knows some people that know some people. I mean, it just don't. I mean, and it's not even Sammy the Bull Gravana that could have done it. He could send some other kid to do the deed himself. You know what I mean? Like it's not gonna be Sammy the Bull himself. He's not that dumb.
No, guys like that, you just said it. Guys like that got a lot of options when it comes to pain, because that's what they surrounded themselves with. So he put in work. Somebody that's coming up that wants to score some points would love to do it for him. And these are guys that know how to. Like, once they grab you, you're gonna leave out of there in a bad situation. So yeah, he could have done it many ways. My point is, the reason why I call him toxic is because you're a trainer. You're not supposed to be put in these situations. You're supposed to be the guy that guides people and tells it like it is. And no, Teddy Atlas is a troublemaker. That's what he is.
He is, man.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
Seems like all he contributes to, he's a little bit of a drill sergeant. When you hear him talk about the camps, he's like, I'm the guy got to make sure it goes to bed by 10:30 and make sure he's more of like, drill sergeant with little fucking razzmatazz fucking pep talk bullshit. Like, I like Teddy Atlas, but I'm starting to turn the corner on him now. Because I grew up like Friday Night Fights was like where I started watching boxing when I was like 12, 13. So him and Joe Tessitore in my head are like the voices of boxing, as fucking weird as that sounds.
Right.
But starting to turn the corner. I don't know. Yeah.
Good for you, man.
He should have ended that fight with Gvozdyk and Beterbiev.
But
And
see,
he
that's
doesn't
like
seem like the guy who would ever stop a fight. He doesn't seem like a dude as much as he would probably preach. Oh, we got to protect guys and all this bullshit. I don't think he would ever pull a guy out.
But
You
think
know
about it.
something? Precise said the round before, which was round 9. I just watched it right now as we were talking, and yeah, he was in trouble. Gvozdyk was in trouble in that 9th round. You know, once maybe he got dropped in the 10th round, he should have probably just called the fight. But look, I get it. Maybe Gvozdyk was like, "Yo, I'm good. You know, when a fighter could convince you that he's fine, he could say, I see the opportunities to make him pay for it.
Guys,
Could have
think
been one of
about it.
them things.
Think about it. If he stops the fight, that's less camera time for him. That's less camera time for his quotes about firemen
Yeah.
and you turn the road. He comes up with some of the most asinine metaphors, and he thinks he's being deep. And for some reason, it's been working for him.
It's like when you go into the salad bar. You know, you're at the salad bar. You don't want to have too many croutons. You don't want to be that guy that loads up on ranch dressing. It's a salad. It's not a fucking.
Yeah, he ends up.
It's
He
not an
screams.
entree. It's a fucking salad.
He raises his voice all of a sudden when he thinks it's the most poignant part of his crazy metaphor. He's insane. He's absolutely insane. He thinks he's Tony Robbins, pretty much. And I don't understand.
And you know who's shaping out to be the new Teddy Atlas? What do you guys think? Timothy Bradley.
Yes, I think that shit rubbed off on him, man.
Timothy likes Teddy Atlas a lot. It's probably part of his personality. He's very loyal.
Right.
You know, I'm not gonna knock him for it. It is what it is. You know, but yeah,
Hey,
Teddy Atlas is a piece
maybe
of
Teddy
shit.
was the type of trainer for Timothy Bradley. You know, the fireman shit. It worked for him. Who knows?
Yeah, with firemen.
He said the fireman shit,
firemen.
but you look at Timmy's face, and he's yeah. He starts thinking about it, and it fucking clicked with him. So
It clicked with him, yeah. And
yeah,
by the way,
coach, yeah. Like, he was
the
ready.
Quags, the real quick, the Quags just donated with a super chat, and he says, "Read this comment from the Shepherd of Sons." I don't want to read that comment. I don't want to read it. Who can somebody in the panel read it for me? By the way, thanks. Who donated the Quags?
Let's see.
Well, hold on. Let me put it at. Let me put it in the.
You're
Hold
gonna put
a
on
second.
Discord.
Yeah, but I don't want to read it, and I don't really want anybody else to read it. But yeah, it's from the thanks Quags for your
I'll
contribution.
handle this. From the Shepherd of Sons, Dirty Jew.
Oh no! See, that's the thing. No. No. See, that's not. We're not gonna.
I
We
don't
we
even know
have
the context.
the rules are that we have to read any comment whenever it's a super chat, but I'm not gonna read it, man, because I don't want people to think that this is this type of show, right?
Shut the fuck up!
No. We got to give that a rest, guys. Shepherd of Sun says, "LOL, read it." I don't want to read it. And all right, thanks, Wilson, for doing that.
No problem. I am
anybody
the
get-
in-house racist, after all.
If
If you ever need me to take the hit and say something, I'll take one for the team.
all right, you'll have to do 50 years in reform prison for that, or what do they call it again?
Hey, you can kiss my dick.
Mental rehabilitation. They're gonna call it in 10 years. Anyway, listen. All of this to say, Teddy Atlas, he's a bit of an asshole. Max Kellerman, he's not just a bit of an asshole. He is an asshole because he's just in that world now where he has to say whatever in order to create some controversy for his show. I mean, think about it. He's doing a show every day, right? So he has to come up with some, and then he's got producers after him telling him, listen, you got to do something for the ratings. You got to do something for the ratings. It's going to be controversial. And he does it because that's the type of guy he wants to be. And I don't like that. That's not the type of show. What?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Nothing. Why doesn't he talk about Andre Ward hitting Sergey in the dick if you want something controversial? Talk about that.
Recognize said that.
Yeah.
He has that question, yeah.
Yeah. No.
But like, you know what it is with Kellerman?
What was that?
He realizes on some level that his boyfriend ducked a 175-pound weight division, and he realizes that his boyfriend never really legitimately beat Sergey Kovalev. So what he's going to do is he's going to shit on all these guys that are a threat to his boyfriend, basically.
Yeah.
That's what Doug Fisher said in the in the mailbag after the Gvozdyk Beterbiev fight. He called out Max Kellerman. He said, "Listen, he said Max Kellerman, I had to shut off the." He tried to shut off the TV before Kellerman got on the air, but he said he was too quick. Kellerman beat him to the punch, and Kellerman was coming. By the way, I was rewatching the Golovkin Canelo fight. My God, was Kellerman just intent on not giving Golovkin any credit for that fight? It is the guy's biased. I don't know how else to put it. He is definitely and absolutely biased against Golovkin, against Kovalev, and he loves Andre Ward. He cannot stop bringing up. He actually brought up Andre Ward during the Kovalev-Golovkin rematch. He kept saying, Andre Ward proved he's an all-time great against Kovalev. When the time came to step up, he stepped up. Can Canelo do the same thing? I'm thinking, wait, is that the fight we're going to compare it to? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I wonder if you ask Max Kellerman who would win between Andre Ward and Roy Jones Jr. What would he say?
He would probably pick Andre Ward.
No fucking way, man. Well, I mean, actually, I wouldn't put past him, but I mean, yeah,
Andre Ward might have beaten him. I think I probably would go Roy, but Andre
That's
Ward
a good fight, huh?
Fighter, bro.
I don't know, man. I mean,
he might have been too strong for Roy.
I know some people are going to bring up Montel Griffin, how he gave Roy Jones trouble, and Andre Ward is pretty crafty, so he might do the same thing. But Roy Jones, prime Roy Jones, he could still catch you at early in the fight or late in the fight. I mean, I don't know. Listen, he schooled James Stoney. Why couldn't he school Andre Ward?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you got a point. Who knows?
I know I got a point. Don't tell me I got a point.
Yeah, and yeah, BDA, and he's also saying that he can come back and beat these guys, the light heavyweights now, beat or BF and all them because of the fast twitch muscles, whatnot.
Well, he certainly doesn't seem like he wants to try. I mean, he seems to be content with just getting praise from Andre Ward about what he could have done had he stayed at 175.
He's gonna fight if he does come back. He's gonna fight Canelo. It's already in the works. If he does come back, it's all gonna depend on how this fight turns out between Canelo and Kovalev on Saturday night. I think if he does come back, that's the fight that he would take.
Now, here's the thing, though. If Canelo beats Kovalev and Andre Ward says, "Give me that fight. I want that fight. I want the Canelo fight," who would you? I mean, of course, it depends on how Canelo beats Kovalev, but who would you favor in that fight? Ward versus Canelo.
I would probably pick Canelo
against Ward. Really?
It could. Yeah, I would take him over him. I think he beats him up, and because he's been out of the game for a little while. I think for either fighter, it's fine to lose to each other in that sense because politically they're aligned. Especially in gay mainstream media, they definitely align with each other. So,
but you know what?
Way, I would probably pick. Yeah, I'll probably pick Canelo. Canelo beat him.
All right, people in the chat room are saying Ward. And the Quack says Ward will knee him to the head. Well, all right, that's one way of winning.
That fight would never happen, bro. Canelo's not gonna wait for Andre Ward to get his 3 tune-ups. Come on.
Yeah, well, that's true. Now, if he does this, if he does that, then Canelo's gonna be like, "No, get the fuck out of here with that. You fight me right away."
No, Andre Ward's gonna want to fight fucking Liam Smith. Fielding and then probably Chavez Jr. just to build up the fight, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. That's the other thing during the Beterbiev Gvozdyk telecast. I think it was during that telecast. They were talking about how Andre Ward, or I think Andre Ward himself said, "Is "Oh, you gotta fight the best. When you're in your prime, you gotta fight the best. Nobody should be telling you to fight the best." And I'm thinking, wait a minute, didn't HBO essentially force you to fight Kovalev the first time because he wanted 3-4 tune-ups, right?
Yeah, and he got 3 tune-ups, right?
Yeah, he wanted
3 tune-ups.
I don't remember. He wanted Chavez Jr., I think. Chavez Jr.
He wanted Chavez Jr. for the name, the money. Yeah, he would have beat up Chavez Jr. too. He would have hit him in the balls a million times.
Anyway, listen.
On the note, hold on, I'm gonna say this, and I gotta jump off. But now that I'm thinking, you're bringing up Andre Ward, bringing up Canelo, we're bringing up Kovalev. Do you guys think that coming up this fucking Saturday, Friday, whenever it is the fucking fight is,
Saturday. What's the matter with you?
this Saturday, this could be another absolute fucking travesty, like the second Ward Kovalev. How that was just totally disgusting. Do you
Listen,
think we're on the eve of something even worse? I mean,
I don't know.
a robbery of mega proportions.
here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. When you're
got
out in the
referee?
streets, for
Headbutt
example.
stoppage.
But here's the thing: when you're out in the streets or in Hollywood, for example, let's say you're Brad Pitt, for example. Most people will not go after you because you're fucking Brad Pitt. You got the agency, a strong agent behind you. They're protecting you. You got the contacts. You got the publicists. It's only when you screw up, and let's say Brad Pitt says something like, all homosexuals are devils or whatever. They all go after him, right? They turn on him. That's when you're gonna see lesser celebrities go after him because the green light has been put on Brad Pitt that it's go time. Everybody can go after him, and it's the same thing in the
Yeah.
boxing world. Kovalev does not have the backing of a Bob Arum or of Eddie Hearn even. He's with Kathy Duva, and they did a good job with him, but she's not a made woman.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
he's an open
Kathy
target.
Duva's a woman that means well. She's she's smart. She's good at what she does, but she's no match for the machine. You get what I'm saying? Like she's
Yeah,
not.
that's a good way of
She's
putting
just
it.
not.
Yeah.
Look, she's just not. It's one of those underdog stories when it comes to politics and boxing, politics of the world. She's a nice person. She's gonna do right by you if you're cool with it. Obviously, I don't totally blame things on her. I think these contracts are presented to Kovalev, and Kovalev bets on himself. That's it.
Right.
He says, "Yeah, I'll take it," even though he knows it's shady.
He's got no choice essentially. He wants to get paid. He's got like Jacobs
He's
too.
got a choice. He could just stay in Russia and fight there. He does
Nah.
have a choice. He's just built that way. He's one of these fighters that bet on themselves. There's a lot of guys like that out there. They're
Yeah,
not from
man.
America though.
Yeah, but he like what I said is to make it more specific. If he wants to get paid, he has to go through the whole Canelo contract.
Right.
He
Exactly.
should-
Right. Like if you want that big money, you got to go through. You got to walk through glass barefoot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So yes, but that's his choice too. That's called I'm betting on myself too. I'm betting that I'm going to win.
A fucking warrior.
Right. Like he's no. Listen, not even to sound like a fucking like a little cupcake or whatever. There's something to be respected about guys like that. Look, you're gonna always meet in every world, every type of walk of life. You're gonna meet certain people that know that there's some bullshit going on and still try to beat that. It's just the way it is. And in boxing is the same thing, and other sports is the same thing. You got guys that will take contracts for that other guys wouldn't even dare take. Just to prove themselves.
Well, you know what? To round all of this up,
I'm jumping off though, guys. Peace.
All right, see you,
Good
Lucian.
talking,
Thanks for being on.
Peace.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Just real quick, man. To round all of this off, I wanted to say something in regards to what you were saying, Recognize, about how Max Kellerman screwed up essentially, and he got a little bit of his own medicine back because that's the world he lives in, where you're gonna get harassed for your use of language. That's precisely my thing. On the one hand, it is kind of fun to see him getting it, but on the other hand, it sets a bad precedent because I want to be able to use whatever word I want to. And if a guy quits, I'll give you an example. My definition of quit doesn't necessarily mean that the guy didn't do his best. Israel Vasquez, when he lost to Rafael Marquez the first fight, he got his nose smashed in, right? It was a bag of bones, essentially. And he quit. He says, I can't go on anymore. That's quitting. Essentially, by the definition of the word, he quit. Now, that doesn't mean he didn't try, because he did go, I think, a run and a half against one of the biggest punchers at 118 at that time, or ever, if you think about it, Rafael Marquez. He won another couple of rounds with the guy, despite the fact that his nose was all smashed up. So when I say quit, I'm not saying he just called it a day without trying. And then he came back and beat Rafael Marquez 2 times. So I want to be able to. I want to be able to use the word quit. If a guy quit, especially if he does indeed quit, like I'll give you an example: Andre Durrell versus Abraham. The guy quit. He got hit.
Yeah.
He looked at the referee, and then he flopped on the canvas, thinking, "Oh,
Andre Durrell quit 3 times in fights. I've seen him actually quit 3 times in a fight. Okay, the Abraham first Usategui fight, and when Usategui beat the fuck out of him again,
right?"
and made him quit, for a win this time. So
And
those guys are quitters. And his
And Virgil
brother,
Hunter-
Anthony Durrell, quit against Benavidez. Okay, and he was looking at the referee to say, "Stop this fight, please. Go look at that fight." Those guys are quitters.
Right.
Okay.
By the
a
definition,
guy who gets the fight beaten out of him, and the referee stops the fight, but he's getting the fight beaten out of him. Let's say he's okay with the referee, right? Like he's like, "Hey, man, that's just the way it is, man. This dude beat the shit out of me today." That's different. That's a guy fucking you up, man. He's taking your will away. He's just taking. You get your nose smashed in, and it's broken in 3 different places, bro. What do you want the guy to do? Die in the ring? Like you could die in the ring anyway, but you want him to choose death? Like say, "I'm gonna die today. Fuck it."
right?
Like no, he got it. He's conscious that his nose just broke in 3 different places, bro.
You know what?
You know?
It's also dependent on what a guy does after. If he gets a second chance, what does he do after that quit job? Because first of all, Israel Vasquez, like I said, he went to war with Rafael Marquez twice. So it's not like he wasn't. He took the type of punishment that most normal people do not want to take. That's one degree of balls, right? Then you have people like Antonio. Hold on, just real quick. Then you have the type of crazy motherfuckers, the 5%, the 5%ers, like Antonio Margarito, like Diego Corrales, like Arturo Gatti, who are literally willing, or they give off the impression that they are willing to die in the ring and get carried out in a body bag rather than just call it quits. So there's levels to this, essentially, what I'm saying. But just like there's a level to a guy quitting because he's got a good reason for doing so, then you got guys that essentially, like Anthony Bonsante. Remember that guy against Donnie Stevenson? The guy from the Contender.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we've talked about it on the show, right? That he got hit with a left hand. Okay. He flops to the ring, closes his eyes. It looks like he's out. And by the 8 count or 9, he gets up, he jumps up like he wasn't knocked out, and he's like, what happened? Why are you stopping the fight? It seemed to me like that guy maybe called it quits. I don't know if it was a strategy to try to distract Stevenson. Maybe he thought he was going to pretend to be knocked out and then get up and shock him. But that's what I'm saying. There's levels to this type of stuff.
Yeah, talking about when a fighter redeems himself, BDA.
Yeah.
I just found it interesting. Like I started to think about Amir Khan, how even in defeat he always showed heart, but like when it came down to his last fight, I never thought he was a quitter like that, and he quit after proving to have heart.
Right.
So what's the deal with the guy like that? What happened there?
Well, you know what it is.
I can never figure it out.
Okay, I'll give you another example that's similar to that. Eric Morales. He always went to war, even when he didn't have to. Like when he did against Paulie Ayala in the last round, against Pacquiao in the last round. But then by the time he fought Pacquiao the 3rd time, and he got dropped early, and he just kept getting dropped and dropped, he finally called it quits. Now, you would have thought that Morales would never quit, but he said after the fight, he says, "I just didn't have it. I didn't have my legs. I just didn't feel. I felt the punches for the first time in my career." And I think that's the same thing with Amir Khan. I think sometimes they just don't. Oh, hold on a second. Shout out to Revolucion, who just donated via the super chat, and he says, "I leave BDA," and he brings up my favorite Adonis fight. Oh yeah, it was Revolucion. Okay, it was Revolucion who brought up that fight. All right, shout out to Revolucion. Thank you for the contribution. But essentially, what I'm trying to say in a simple way is, some guys, no matter how much heart they have, it seems like they can lose the will to go through that type of shit. You know what I mean? And I think maybe Khan felt that in that fight, in the Crawford fight.
Yes.
Yeah, Khan quit many times. Khan's just a quitter. The way he quit against Canelo, that was the worst.
Okay, come on. No, but seriously,
quitter.
His soul was.
I agree with you, BDA. I agree.
His soul was snatched out of his body.
What about Victor Ortiz?
Well, you know
Yeah,
what? That's
Victor
another
Ortiz.
fight. It's funny you should bring that fight up because Max Kellerman after the fight sort of gave Ortiz a little shit afterwards for essentially calling it quits. And see, that was another fight where Ortiz had some success, but then the last two rounds he was getting beat up. The one side of his face looked like he looked like the Elephant Man on one side of his face. That type of fight, I can certainly see why he would. I don't know. You guys tell me, man. I mean, I think we've had this conversation before, but when
But
is?
listen, I didn't like the way the reaction. I'm sorry, BDA.
Go
You
ahead.
were
Yeah.
gonna say something?
No. That's essentially I'm asking you guys. Like, what do you think about quitting? When is it? How
You
gray an
know,
area is this?
I remember Shane Mosley and I think it was even Oscar De Leon. They were screaming at him like, "Yo, listen, the kid doesn't want to fight. That's it. You're disappointed. I understand. Don't scream at him. He doesn't want to fight. There are certain guys that they can't take that. They can't
It's
take
true.
that punishment. It is what it is. Maybe you talk to him and if he asks you, were you disappointed? Yeah, I was very disappointed, bro. I expected a little bit better from you. It is what it is. If you can't take the pain, you can't take it.
Yeah, why are these guys? Well, you know what it is. It's in boxing. There's a couple elements that push people to think or to ostracize somebody that quits. A, it's because it's a fighting sport, and if you quit in basketball, it's all right, fine, you quit. But because of the fact that it's an actual fight or as close to a fight as we can get when it's a boxing match, uh, I think it has certain implications about manhood because I think it hits people at a primal level. Like, oh, you quit in a fight here. What if we were all back in the jungle as cavemen, and you quit during a fight? Then that means whoever beats you is gonna take your food, your children, your women. You know what I mean? Am I going too far with
Yeah,
this, or is there?
I get that. I get that point. Like maybe at the elite level of fighting, guys like De La Hoya and Shane Mosley look down on guys like that, right?
Yeah,
Because they don't understand that. But I've always had the mindset that look, when I was younger and I used to like to get into fights because I did. I used to like to fight as part of being a boxer and liking combat sports. I always knew who to do that with. I always knew like, all right, these are my boys that like to fight. We're gonna go into that bar where there's usually some fights, and we're gonna see what happens. I would never take some guy who has to go the next day and he's not into that.
right. Well,
Why
good for
why
you.
would I do that? That's so stupid. You know how many people I've seen that had the same mentality as me? They're down for a fight whenever it presents themselves, and they take some guy from the neighborhood who never got into a fight, was a good kid and stuff like that. He's never tried to portray himself as a tough guy, and they're like, "Yo, Jose from yeah, he's a pussy." I'm like, why do you say that? Oh, we got into a fight with these dudes and he ran. I'm like, since when was Jose ever in the streets and beating people up like you fucking animal? Like he's never done shit like that. So why would you expect him, to fight guys who are trying to kill him for
Well, then
nothing?
that's a good question and a good point. Then it's also depends on how a guy's past performance, right? Because Victor
Right. So
Ortiz had never.
they look at Ortiz as you're a fighter. You're a fighter and you're in our world. You're one of those guys that are not afraid of confrontation. Why did you quit?
But
You
that's the
understand what I'm
also
saying? That's how they look at him.
exactly. That's how they all
There,
look at. But yeah, go ahead, Gonzalo.
yeah, there's also like different things that when it comes down to like what type of fighter you are and what you bring to the table. Like for example, if you're a puncher, like let's say Lucas Matisse, who's used to knocking guys out, but then when he can't knock out the other guy and the other guy starts bringing it to him, kind of like Postal did, he's gonna mentally collapse because he got exposed to a different type of style that he couldn't deal with. And the same
Hmm.
thing could be said about back foot fighters. They're always running. They're essentially quitting while the fight's going on to, where they're trying to frustrate the other guy. So it's just different things.
That's a good point. That's a good point. It's also the ring really will show you what you're made of. Like because you said it's the unknown. If you're facing something that you've never faced before inside that ring, it could be in the form of a broken eye socket or a
Yeah.
busted up knuckle. And these guys they're warriors, but it's gonna jar them too. Being in the fight, in the middle of a fight, they're tired. They feel their legs going, and all of a sudden now you got to deal with a big ass cut or a busted hand. I mean, it's disconcerting. Let's just put it that way. I mean, it is what it is. But also, it's about, like Recognize was saying, it's this perception of fighters that, hey, you're in there to fight, you're not supposed to quit, you're supposed to be the Superman. And also, the other element is that people are paying for this. Let's not forget, we do, as consumers, we're putting up hard-earned cash to watch some of these fights and to see a guy, like Overhand said, I don't mind quitters. I just do mind when it's a guy that didn't even try. That's where it becomes a problem for us as consumers, that we paid money to watch something and all of a sudden the guy doesn't even at least put a little bit of an effort, like Vosnik did. Vosnik put up an effort. He was getting mangled, but he still stayed there a couple of rounds more to try to pull something up, you know?
You could see that Vosnik was trying to get himself in control of the fight. You know, he was actually fighting to win. It's just that it wasn't working out. You know, he met the stronger guy that night, and the stronger, better fighter won.
Yeah, that's right. He tried. He got up multiple times. You could see it in his face that he was, especially if you got Teddy Atlas in your corner, you don't want to disappoint him because, you know. Anyways, like that's why I don't blame Joshua either, because he got up multiple times. He just frustrated. He ran out of ideas, you know. But we'll see. Like BDA is saying, how do you prove yourself on the second fight?
Exactly.
But it just might end up the same way.
Exactly. Yeah, it's Joshua, though, it was a bit of a weird one because, I mean, he had a good reason to. He was dead tired, but then that's when the criticism comes in. It's like, how come you were so tired after? Like he never recovered from that knockdown, or was it just he all that muscle mass? See, that's where some criticism can be leveled against him. But like you said, Gonzalo, hey, we'll see what he does in the rematch. Let's see if he can redeem
The way
himself.
there was a bit of a mental breakdown, like maybe when he dropped him in the third round, he drops Ruiz. Ruiz just comes back and drops him right after that. Drops him another time. Maybe throughout the fight, it was just it was a mental breakdown,
Right.
And a guy like Ruiz capitalized on it. Like, you know, it's all part of the game, man. It's all part of the game. You got to credit your opponent, and you got to look at yourself at the same time. You know, you credit your opponent for taking it for him not mentally breaking down. You know,
right?
Because a lot of times it could come down to that. It could come down to, you know, who's going to break down first, me or you.
When guys laugh, Recognize, when guys laugh after they hit the deck and they're dead tired or whatever, that's when it's a bad sign, because it's almost as if they're in shock that they're helpless in there. You know what I mean? So if I see, like Joshua, that's what he was doing. He was laughing at some point, I think. Or I think when they waved off the fight, he was smiling. It's like, all right. He's a little bit happy too that it's getting, you know, they're having mercy on him, and he didn't have to quit outright. Like they did it for him. You know.
If you look at when Roy Jones got dropped by Tarver in the second fight, right, and you look at Roy Jones' face, he has his mouth open, like he said, "Whoa," like he was in shock. Like, I just got dropped bad, you know. Like he was conscious. See what you see? Look, what I'm trying to say was he was conscious, but he also realized how bad he got knocked down. He tried to get back up, you know, and obviously the fight was over. So there's different type of reaction when he got dropped and he was smiling. He was, oh shit, I think he got this. I think homeboy got it tonight, you know.
Right.
And there's let me see what I could do. It's not that he's really quitting, but he's saying to himself, damn, he's able to capitalize and drop me and do this again. You know, and I don't know if I'm gonna get out of this. And I'm gonna keep trying, but you know, more likely it's not gonna work out for me tonight.
That's that stupid smile. That's going to be Canelo on Saturday night.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna ask you guys as a joke. I say, imagine Kovalev catches Canelo with the right hand and he drops face first, and he gets up on unsteady legs, and you see him smiling. You're like, whoa! You've never seen, Canelo drop that.
Did you see that press conference? Was he smiling and he's telling his daughter, "Te amo, mi amor, I love you," and he's blowing kisses.
Yeah, he's becoming a little cupcake too, man. Like I understand that. I understand the love that he has for his daughter. I have one, you know, and I love the shit out of her. But you know, I'm not gonna be doing that in public. Mi amor, te quiero.
Hey, he's got a big heart.
Smoochie.
Un besito para papi.
You sound like those guys. You know what? You sound like those mean assholes in The Sopranos when Johnny Sack started crying when they took him away in his daughter's wedding. And Phil Leotardo goes, my estimation of John Sacramone just went as a man just went down tonight. It's like, come on, he's an emotional man. What do you want from him? But
yeah, I mean, no. I'm not like man. I'm not that harsh, but there's certain emotions that I keep private. I'm not trying to show off like, oh, look at me, I'm a fighter, and I love my daughter. It's like,
okay, wait a minute. Why are you doing the Mexican? Why are you doing the Mexican accent? What the fuck?
Everybody loves their kids, man. Especially if you're a man and you got a daughter. Everybody adores the shit out of their daughter. If you're a human being.
You just don't do it in front of your son, though, because if you treat your son a little bit more strict than your daughter, then that could cause some.
I'm a little bit more stricter with my daughter. My boys, I'm not too affectionate the way I am with affectionate in a sense that there's more concern when you have a girl. Yeah.
Right, especially in today's world, man.
Yeah, of course, today's world.
Oh, you know what? You look at it from a positive perspective. Maybe one day, with everything that's going on now, with all the freedom that we have, maybe one day she decides to switch genders. That's what they do nowadays. You're a boy, you can become a girl.
All the time.
Anyway, listen, I wanted to say something about. By the way, people, Revolucion in the chat room says Besito is recognized as boxing nickname. Oh, come on, that's creepy. That's fucking creepy, man. That's fucking creepy.
You used to call me. Recognize El Besito Matrix.
I wanted to say something about Roy Jones. That's one of the most frustrating things I've ever seen. The third Tarver fight, because essentially at the end of the fight, he admitted that for him going 12 rounds was a win. And I'm thinking, this fight was pay-per-view. I just paid to watch this. Now you're telling me that essentially your whole plan, your whole goal in this one was not to get knocked down? That was your redemption arc? The fuck out of here. And I like Roy Jones, but that was a shit move, man. I'm sorry. Especially since he beat him the first time. Could have done so the third time as well. Anyway, I think we said everything we had to say about what actually no. We didn't even scratch the surface, but I don't wanna go over 3 hours. We've been on for about 2 hours and 45 minutes. Besides, Butch is gonna be doing a pre-fight show. I mean, for the weigh-in. He's gonna be doing a show for the weigh-in, and we're gonna be doing a show before the fight to finally lock down the predictions, especially Gypsy boxing style. He's only going to make a prediction after he sees both guys in their speedos or naked. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah,
Boxing style making a prediction.
He's going to make one. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm not interested. But
come on, man. What are you gonna? He's not here to defend himself.
I'm kidding. I like that Armenian.
Oh, by the way, precise, man. The other day was Johnny Boy, McGregor, and Gypsy, and they were throwing some shots at you, saying, "Fuck, what were they? They were saying something about."
You're a troublemaker, BDA. I noticed that. You're a troublemaker.
I'm just letting Precise know what's up, man. I got his back, and I gotta let him know what's being said about him. Essentially, my idea was this: with the new system that we have, where we can actually watch fights via the internet without having to log on to Rabbit, I think it's about time that we rewatch the whole Golovkin Deryachenko fight, Precise, Johnny Boy, Gypsy, and McGregor, who disagree with Precise, and maybe we get Precise along with Apology Man, who agrees with him, and we'll score the fight. No excuses anymore. We'll see what's up.
Yeah, Precise is going to win that. It's gonna win that easily.
It's gonna be sad. It's gonna be sad for them boys, man. They're gonna learn what a legal punch is. They're gonna learn what a low blow is. I mean, let's do it, please.
They're gonna know what a block punch looks like. You're gonna see a lot of block punches. They're gonna be like,
there's gonna be a lot of cognitive dissonance and disappointment. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, BDA, can I ask a precise question?
Yeah, sure, please.
Because I don't think he was on after the Ruger Tartan Tornado fight. Prograis versus
what is BDA my manager or something? you gotta go to BDA to get to.
I just don't want to cut it. But anyways, how many rounds did you give? I know how that fight played out, but how many rounds did you give Prograis?
7.
You had him winning?
That's pretty much what I had.
That's funny that you say that, because I thought 7-5 the other way, but I'm like, it could have been 7-5 Prograis way too.
I mean, it was that kind of a fight where, like,
it wasn't a blowout like the way.
No, So out of the first, the first round I gave to Taylor was the 6th, I believe, or the 7th. I'm not sure. However, out of those first 6 rounds, 3 were like even rounds, so swing rounds basically. So I thought Prograis won 3 out of the first 6 for sure, and possibly 3 more. But if you had it 3-3 after the first 6, then I couldn't disagree with that either. You know, it was that kind of a fight.
Yeah,
You know-
geez, that was the fight. That's fight of the year. That was just a hell of a fight.
It was
It
a good
was.
It was
fight,
a
man.
good fight.
Body shots, man.
When I saw, I know people don't like this, but I'm just sorry. It's reality. It's part of boxing. When I was hearing how some people kind of had it wide for Taylor, I was saying to myself, then why the fuck does Taylor's face look so fucked up?
Well, it was a headbutt too, I
Usually
think.
means that people are missing a lot of the punches that were being landed. You know. And
I mean, people were acting like he dominated Baranchik, where he arguably lost that fight too. As far as I'm concerned, he got 2 gifts in his last 2 fights.
Oh,
And this whole idea of Josh Taylor being a pound for pound fighter, why? Why? Because he's white or because he's British? I mean, why? He's a weight fucking bully. Come on, man. Let's see what he does in his natural weight division. I put every fighter to that standard. I don't understand why. Like, we could sit here and criticize people for being weight bullies, but not Josh Taylor? The fuck did he do to be even considered a pound for pound fighter? I don't get it.
now
In the
listen.
beginning, he was Prograis was boxing beautifully, man, and he also showed that he could take it too in the last rounds. I had him winning the last, but anyways,
Now
I mean,
that
if
listen.
you
fight
had
was
him winning the
super
fight,
close.
yeah, if you had him winning, I don't got a problem with that. But don't tell me that a guy that went life and death in his 2 last fights against much smaller men. I'm not saying
Excuse
you,
me,
I'm saying in general.
Prograis, I had him winning the last 2 rounds, and in the beginning, he was boxing beautifully. Regis.
Yeah, but my only point is this. Don't tell me that the guy that went life and death in his last couple of fights against physically smaller men, don't tell me that he's a pound for pound fighter. Come on, man. Like, are we really that desperate for the next best pound for pound guy? Come on, man. Pound for pound used to mean something. Nowadays, it's just like everybody's on that fucking list, man. Give me a break.
It is funny. Everybody, every time they get a victory,
Everybody's a pound for pound fighter. Man, as soon as you get a good victory in boxing, pound for pound, come on, man. You're supposed to be like putting in work for years before we put you on a pound for pound list.
Well, you know
Tell you
what?
This
something.
is
You saw the
ridiculous,
meal.
man.
I
You saw the
agree with
meal I
that.
just slugged down. You would say Frank is on the pound for pound list for sure.
You know what? They did do that with Beterbiev after the Vosdik win. Some people were saying pound for pound. I'm thinking, come on, it's one
I
win.
was just thinking more like he's the best. He's probably the best light heavyweight. That's all I was thinking. I wasn't thinking about no
Probably,
you know?
right? You're not
Right?
sure.
Probably. Not sure, of course, because he hasn't fought Bivol. You know, he didn't fight. He didn't fight. Kovalev. So you know, there's some questions. There's some room to actually
Look,
prove that you are.
if you're saying Beterbiev is pound for pound, what you're telling me is that you believe he could go up to cruiserweight right now and be a champion. Maybe not the best guy there, but top 2, top 3. Can he really do that? I don't know.
I
Like,
think he could, but
he
hasn't
could,
done it
but like, you know, that's just the thing with pound for pound. Like, you're rating a guy based on how good you think he is, and you know, at that point, I could say this is anybody's a pound for pound fighter by that. You know what I mean? So
yet. Yeah.
Gonzalo, you opened up a
Yes,
can of
it's
worms,
all-
man.
A can of worms.
You opened up a can of worms with this discussion.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. Sometimes it's good to open up a can of worms. It
yeah,
could
but
be one of
BDA
those-
was trying to go to sleep.
Well, wait a minute. I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Yeah, but you know it's true.
Yeah, it is.
Pack your
It is.
bedtime, old man.
Oh man. Oh, my asthma is getting to me as well. Now listen, the point is this. You know what? The better question to precise would have been, who do you pick between Josh Taylor and Tank Davis? That's what you should have asked, Gonzalo.
What do they call
Wait,
that guy?
Josh Taylor and who?
And
Tank
Tank Davis.
yeah.
I think he calls him a
come on,
peanut.
man.
Precise calls him a peanut, and some other guys call him a butterball.
Tank runs through that white boy. Come on, man.
Oh.
Fools. No, I mean, come on. Tank Davis. Don't even get me started on that guy. We'll be here for 3 more hours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, you know what? On Friday, Butch is gonna do a show, and then on Saturday we're gonna be doing one as well before the fight. So we might have some time to catch up. No, we will have some time to catch up on all that. I also want to talk more about this whole Tank Davis versus Josh Taylor. I also want to get, because I mean I disagree with you a little bit, guys, on Josh Taylor. Right? I don't think he lost against Baranchik and Postal. But listen, like I said, that's a discussion for another time, and we could kill about an hour, maybe more, on that
Hey,
subject.
I just
What?
want to say, since we're in the spirit of calling people out and that gets you points,
Right.
man, I'll beat Usyk. I will beat him. Fuck out of here.
Well, there you go.
I'll beat Usyk. He's afraid to fight me. He doesn't know who I am, but he's afraid to fight me.
That's right. You should get in touch with your manager, with your people, and let's make it happen, right? Unless he's scared, which he probably
No,
is.
I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to prove anything to Usyk. I'll beat him though.
There you go.
Yeah. Hopefully you won't cancel like Joe Bin.
He's ducking. Usyk's ducking.
Yeah, he's ducking me.
He's ducking. Yep. You
Yeah.
called him
I
out
won't ever fight
online
him.
in front of people. You called him out, bro, online
I called him out in front of everybody. You guys,
Yeah, he's ducking. Ducking.
Go to Usyk's Twitter and tell Usyk that I said I would beat him, but I would never fight him because I don't have to prove that, and he's ducking me. Yeah.
That's right.
Check your Facebook. Maybe he answered. Check your Facebook real quick.
He don't want that smoke, like they say now in the inner cities. Now listen.
You don't want that old man smoke. Trust me.
Listen.
Ducking it.
We said everything there was to say about this aspect of the fight, but again, there's more to say. So join us for the next episode. What else want to say? Yeah, we got to do a second Renaissance again. But there's a lot to talk about in this about non-boxing stuff. We could actually do more. You know what I feel sometimes? I feel like I could do more second Renaissance shows than actual boxing. Boxing kind of starts getting stale after a while. That's why I got to take breaks here and there. But with the second
All you gotta
Renaissance,
do is send me an invite. I'll be on. No problem.
all right, fantastic. There you go. Thanks, man. What else? Oh yeah, so pre-fight show on Friday and Saturdays. Finally gonna get those predictions all locked down. So if you guys are changing your mind or you're having second doubts, that's the time where you're gonna be able to do it. Oh, we also got to break down the Ryan Garcia fight. It's the most important thing happening on Saturday. Don't laugh at that. What are you doing?
Woo! Getting excited a little bit, huh?
You gotta put that video of him dancing on. We talk about Ryan Garcia.
Well,
Please
don't worry. I got big things planned for Ryan Garcia. Big, long.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
And
I think Canelo wants to leave De La Hoya because Ryan Garcia is the new little twink in town.
Can I kiss you?
oh man.
Can I kiss you on the mouth? No! Please let me. I'm really drunk. Really, I am. I'm out of my head.
And Ryan Garcia. Hey, let's not forget too.
Man.
We got a nice little fight also on Saturday on ESPN. Miguel Burchell taking on Jason Sosa.
That's right, man. That's regular ESPN, yeah?
ESPN, yeah. I gotta tell you, I like Burchell. I've said he's a tough cookie, but I don't know if he makes it past Jason Sosa, man.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
Too inactive.
Who, Jason Sosa?
You see how he's problems for everybody else except one guy.
Exactly. Exactly.
One guy,
That's true.
just one dude that show like, nah, you're not a problem for me. But everybody else.
You guys remember when Tank Davis ducked Jason Sosa? Fucking Sosa?
Yeah.
That was his Mando, I believe. Then all of a sudden he couldn't make weight. They took his title and blah blah blah.
Yeah, man. Sosa smoke.
Sosa. you had to use the smoke word. Yeah, Jason Sosa's tough cookie. So we'll see what Burchell can do. Like Saint Brit in the chat room says, I got Sosa.
He might. I mean, he's probably the underdog going in.
There you go, Sosa. You want me to believe? You want me to believe Omar was a stoolie because Sosa said so? You brought that line. All right, listen. Enough fucking Scarface quotes. We gotta go, but I want to thank everybody that showed up for the panel. I want to thank Recognize the Matrix.
Peace, gentlemen. Peace, everybody in the chat.
Take it easy, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us.
Later.
Always, Always a great discussion with you guys. Always fun. So I want to recognize the Matrix, Jimmy, who was here for a little while, Revolucion, McGregor. Check out McGregor's channel, Unrivaled Boxing Talk. I want to thank Gonzalo as well, recognize the Matrix, Precise. Who am I missing? Who else was here? That's about it. Yeah, I can see the list here. So thank you guys for joining us. Really, you made it all entertaining as always. Who else? What else? I mean, not who else. Oh yeah, the super chats. Thank you guys. Thanks to Recognize the Matrix, Chris K, the Quags, Revolucion. Thank you very much for your contributions. You guys really make us or allow us to upgrade our equipment here and make big things. You actually funded Bucho's trip to the Holy Land. And I'm not talking about Jerusalem, I'm talking about the other Holy Land, Mecca, where he'll be traveling to cover the Joshua Ruiz rematch. That's going to be very entertaining. We're still working with the imams over there to allow Bucho to go in because he is not a Muslim. He wants to be able to get close to the cube. Legend has it that there's a dragon living in that cube. I think it's in the Quran somewhere. Don't quote me on that. So thank you guys for the contribution. And also thanks to everybody that was listening. Walter Morrison, Boxing Archives and Facts, The Quags, Bomb City, Bomb City, BOKS, SSB28, Uncle Burnt Apostrophe, Boogie Woogie, Guerrero de la Info, Triple JJJ, The Punisher, The Fight Scout, Ernest Mendoza, Duck, Toniato James, Unbiased Boxing. Oh, shout out to M6G, I think that's G Boogie, who just donated via the super chat as well. Shout out to G or MSG. I forget, is M6G Muscle or G Boogie? I can't remember. Anyway, thank you, man. Thank you for the contribution. Really appreciate it. Fist bump. Shout out to the Punisher, Marshall Ministry. Endgame was in there as well. Unbiased Box, Ernest Mendoza, Overhand. Rod T. Davis, I think, was in there as well. The Quags, The Punisher. I think Foul Pole was in there as well. Nes Mendoza. Revolucion was also in there. Bucho was in there as well. One Hitter. Official Scorecard Boxing. Shout out to Official. All Boxing Talk and News. Check out his channel as well. All Boxing Talk and News. Very good videos. Walter Morrison. Diego Bandido. Shout out to Diego. The Bronze Plumber. The Bronze Plumber. Fucking nicknames. Alright, thanks a lot, guys. And don't forget, you can catch us on Friday. Butch is going to be hosting, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but he probably will be hosting for the weigh-in show. And on Saturday, a pre-fight show. We might also just leave a special stream as well during the fight. During the actual fight. So you can check that one out as well. Thanks very much, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Take it easy.